Chapter 81, 81. Search. 2. Drop some power stones. If you enjoy the chapter. Hanabi finally leaves with a satisfied burp, and by the end of the meal, she doesn't dislike Naruto as much. Maybe it's because Naruto has been so generous. Hinata barely eats 1/5 of what Naruto devours, leaving most of the heavy lifting to her stomach. In the end, both sisters are quite satisfied. Naruto, on the other hand, is exhausted. He and Sasuke have been up half the night, unable to sleep because of Jiraiya. The old sage stumbles back in the middle of the night, reeking of alcohol and some stranger's perfume. For a brief moment, Naruto entertains the thought of crashing into Sakura's room. After all, they are teammates, right? It couldn't be that weird, could it? But he quickly shakes off the idea. No, my comrade's room is off limits, he tells himself. Luckily, an idea pops into his head. Solve the problem using ninjutsu. Sasuke is impressed and silently vows to never get drunk in Naruto's presence. The next morning, Naruto and Sasuke go to get Sakura for breakfast, while Jiraiya is still fast asleep. The sunlight eventually creeps through the window, hitting Jiraiya's face. With a pop, the snot bubble he's been blowing bursts. He blinks his eyes open and yawns, trying to roll over only to find he can't. Jiraiya? He realizes he's been trapped by his blanket. Looking closer, he sees the intricate sealing techniques on the quilt, sound suppression, immobilization, and something that seems to block the smell. Is this what Naruto's doing? Kid's gotten pretty good at sealing techniques, Jiraiya said with a smile on his face. But there was no time to admire the worker. He quickly broke free of the seals without much trouble. Naruto hasn't meant to make them too strong, just strong enough to stop his snoring and the alcohol stench from bothering anyone else. Jiraiya stumbles downstairs, still groggy, and immediately starts digging into Naruto's plate without so much as a hello. Naruto, poking at his chopsticks, raises an eyebrow and asks, "Puvi Sage, what are you doing?" Jiraiya shoots back, "What am I doing?" "What did you do?" Sasuke, already feeling a bit guilty, looks away. He's been watching the chaos last night with interest and even copied a few of Naruto's sealing techniques with his Sharingan. Naruto defends himself, "What was I supposed to do?" "You came back reeking of booze and who knows what else." "How were we supposed to sleep?" Jiraiya waves it off. "It was just a little alcohol." Naruto isn't having it. "Just a little?" "That was a stink cloud, not a smell." He adds sarcastically, "Didn't you just tell us yesterday, a ninja must endure?" "Does that mean we have to endure you?" Jiraiya isn't fazed at all. "Brat, you don't know what you're talking about." "I was gathering intel." Naruto smirks and quips, "Oh yeah? So you're telling me your stomach can process info from alcohol now?" Jiraiya grumbles something unintelligible as he continues shoveling food into his mouth. Naruto shrugs and orders another breakfast. Sasuke watches the back and forth between Naruto and Jiraiya with a slight sense of envy. Naruto always seems to get along with everyone, whether it's his parents, Kakashi-sensei, Shikamaru, or even Jiraiya. Naruto has this way of joking around with people without annoying them. Even now, he's stealing Sasuke's fried egg. "Uzumaki." "Naruto," Sasuke says slowly, his voice cold. Naruto looks back, fried egg halfway in his mouth, and blinks innocently. After a brief staring contest, Sasuke sighs and smiles. "Forget it. Enjoy your food." Naruto happily chews the egg. For some reason, stolen food always tastes better. Sasuke turns back to his plate and splits his remaining egg in half, offering the other half to Sakura, who smiles brightly at the gesture. Seeing her so happy makes Sasuke smile even more. He's glad to have been placed on this team. He keeps his eyes on his plate, though, making sure to guard the rest of his food from Naruto's next sneak attack. Meanwhile, Jiraiya watches them banter and thinks back to his teammates. His team had once been just as close. He had been more handsome than Sasuke, more talented than Naruto, and Tsunade. Well, he convinced himself that she'd been as gentle as Sakura back in the day. He shakes his head, his chest tightening. No, that's just the alcohol still messing with him. Tsunade? Gentle? She's worse than Orochimaru in that regard. After breakfast, The group heads to a hill outside the village for some training. Jiraiya wants to see how the three are progressing. First is Sakura. Jiraiya is impressed by her chakra control and medical knowledge. It's like seeing a young Tsunade, right down to her flat chest. Jiraiya isn't skilled in medical ninjutsu, but having trained alongside Tsunade, he gives Sakura some advice based on what he remembers from their younger days. He realizes now that he genuinely wants to introduce her to Tsunade for further training. Sasuke's Sharingan, paired with Chidori, is also impressive. His fire-style jutsu and quick reflexes make him a formidable opponent. Jiraiya shares his insights on using ninjutsu strategically, advising Sasuke not to mimic Naruto's all-out assault style. He also suggests that Sasuke and Naruto try combining wind and fire release jutsu in the future. This new, knowledgeable side of Jiraiya changes both Sasuke's and Sakura's impressions of him. He isn't just a perverted old mana, he's a wise teacher too. Finally, Jiraiya tosses a scroll to Naruto. Here's that lion's mane jutsu I promised. But don't be greedy. Focus on mastering water release and perfecting the Rasengan. Got it. Naruto replies enthusiastically, though he secretly plans to learn everything. Alright, you three train hard. I need to check on something suspicious from my last intel mission, Jiraiya says, his face becoming comically serious as he walks off. The three of them exchange glances, and whatever respect they gained for Jiraiya quickly evaporates. They watch him leave, shaking their heads in unison. Chapter 82. Dead 3 days have passed, and it seems as though Jiraiya hasn't woken up during that time. Every morning, he finds himself tightly wrapped in his blanket, but he's getting better at escaping it with each passing day. On the morning of the 4th day, Jiraiya stops the 3 kids Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura as they are about to head out. We should move on to the next location. Naruto looks at him blankly and asks, did you find any new leads, or are you just tired of hanging around here? Stop spouting nonsense. I've been investigating. Jiraiya clears his throat before continuing. Someone did spot her in this town, but she didn't stick around for long. Probably because this place doesn't have any casinos. Naruto sighs. So where are we going next? To a place called Short Book Street. There's an old temple there, pretty historic. The town is a lot livelier than here, and more importantly there's a whole street full of casinos. Seeing Jiraiya's gleeful smile, Naruto can't help but wonder if it isn't the casinos, or rather, other services that Jiraiya is truly excited about. With Jiraiya calling the shots, the 3 of them have no choice but to pack their things and follow him. Not long after leaving town, Naruto suddenly says, Puvi Sage, we've got 2 people tailing us. Their chakra is about teacup-sized. Pretty weak. Oh? Jiraiya turns around, eyes narrowing as he scans the area. Sasuke and Sakura notice it too. These 2 aren't skilled at hiding themselves. A couple of minutes later, Jiraiya returns with 2 men, both sporting bruises and swollen faces. They are dressed like samurai, with hats, bags, and swords at their waists. Jiraiya asks sternly, why are you following us? Speak. One of the men stammers, we don't know who you are, Buta. Then why are you tailing us? Are you trying to rob us? Or did someone hire you? No, we're looking for Lady Tsunade. Tsunade? Jiraiya frowns, a bad feeling rising. You wouldn't happen to be chasing her for debts, would you? That's exactly it. I'm Senta from the Akagi gang, and this is Bunzo. We've been looking for Lady Tsunade for 3 years, but her whereabouts are always unpredictable. This guy is trying to put it nicely, but everyone knows Tsunade's gambling habits keep her constantly on the move. Senta continues, we heard you were asking around about her recently, so we thought you might have a lead. We followed you in hopes of finding her. We're sorry for being discovered so quickly. Jiraiya believes them almost immediately. This is totally Tsunade style. For 3 years, we haven't returned home, all because of her debts. Please allow us to travel with you. We just want to find her, they both plead, bowing deeply. Jiraiya thinks for a moment before agreeing. Fine. When we find Tsunade, I'll ask her about it myself. Thank you so much. the two samurai say in unison. Now their group has two additional members, debt collectors. Sakura groans internally, already feeling disappointed in Tsunade. Owing debts for 3 years and running away from them? What a shameless old woman. As the group moves forward, Jiraiya suddenly remembers something. Naruto, what did you mean by teacup-sized chakra? Sasuke and Sakura are also curious. Oh, that, Naruto replies. You know my sensory ability, right? The three of them nod. I can sense the location of others, but I can also gauge their chakra levels. If chakra were water, then the amount those two have is about the size of a teacup. Interesting, Jiraiya says, though he can't help but smile at Naruto's odd way of measuring chakra. Why use that term? Well, Naruto scratches his head. I used to use Kakashi-sensei as the standard, but his chakra has been increasing a lot recently, so he's no longer a good reference. Plus, using him as a benchmark wasn't fair to people with less chakra. Jiraiya can't help but laugh. It's not that you're unfair to people with less chakra, it's Kakashi who's been getting a raw deal. Out of curiosity, Jiraiya asks, so, how do we compare? Naruto thinks for a moment. Sakura-chan is at bathtub level. Sakura's face twitches. Bathtub. She is fuming on the inside. Sasuke is at the small pond level. Kakashi-sensei was a small pond too, but now he's a large pond. Sasuke raises an eyebrow. So before you changed units, I was just a little puddle? As for you, Visage, you're at lake level. I'm around the same, and my mom's chakra is at an even larger lake level. If I count Kurama's chakra, then I'm probably at sea level, like the first Hokage. The two samurai look on in awe. Are all ninjas this powerful? Jiraiya sighs. Naruto has come up with his system of measurement, and while chakra levels don't always equal strength, a teacup going up against a bathtub definitely isn't going to end well. He has to admit, the kid's system isn't entirely useless. Your little sensory technique is pretty handy, Jiraiya remarks. It's still got a long way to go, Naruto says humbly. A real minimap should show people's faces or names. I can sense different chakra signatures, but I can't always remember who's who. And I still need to work on sensing intent or whether someone's a friend or foe. After walking for a while longer, the group finally arrives at Short Book Street. Let's find a place to stay, Jiraiya says. Then we'll split up to gather information. At that very moment, at the entrance of a nearby casino, a blonde woman dressed in green proudly opens a suitcase full of money. Exchange all this for chips. Today, I'll win back everything I lost. Behind her, a dark-haired woman holding a piglet size, while the piglet quivers with dread. The casino guests exchange glances, whispering to each other as they stare at the blonde woman. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that? Yeah. The legendary Big Loser. Chapter 83. Roast the pig. Everyone has been searching all night, but there are still no results. The two samurai insist on continuing the search, while Jiraiya takes the three kids to eat. Jiraiya randomly chooses an izakaya, but as soon as Naruto enters, he notices Jiraiya and a blonde woman exchanging affectionate glances. The crowd searches for him thousands of times, and when they look back, the man is in the dim light. This saying might not fit perfectly here, but the mood of the scene certainly does. From her appearance, it's Tsunade, and the flustered woman beside her with a small pig must be Shizu. Jiraiya? Tsunade asks, slightly dazed and blushing from drink, hiccuping. Tsunade? Jiraiya looks equally surprised. Well, since you're here, have a couple of drinks with me. Jiraiya introduces everyone, sits across from Tsunade, and starts reminiscing over drinks. Naruto and Sasuke sit next to him, busy eating the side dishes, while Sakura sits beside Shizu. Sakura is initially very excited. After all, even if her idol gambles, drinks heavily, and is deep in debt, Tsunade is still her idol. As a fan, Sakura forgives her instantly and even wants to say, Lady Tsunade, you're just too beautiful. But when Sakura sits down, her mood dims as she glances at Tsunade's, impressive assets, and then at herself. She purses her lips, feeling rather disheartened. Sasuke seems oblivious to what's going on, while Naruto, glancing around, appears to understand but doesn't say anything. Poink poink. Naruto, focused on his food, is suddenly distracted by a strange pig's cry and glances at the small pig in Shizun's arms. It has pink, shiny skin, and looks tender, probably not more than 10 kilograms. Naruto, after swallowing his mouthful of greens, turns to Shizun and asks, "Hey, Miss Shizun, this pig looks a little weak. Why don't we just a broken bar?" Naruto licks his lips, pats Sasuke's shoulder, and adds, "Sasuke's good with fire release jutsu. He could probably roast it to perfection." Shizun immediately protests, "No, Danton isn't." "Ha ha ha, I've always wanted to try." "Danton does look delicious, doesn't she?" Drunken Tsunade interrupts, trying to reach out and grab the pig. "Hey, hey." Shizun's eyes widen in shock as she shields Danton. "Lady Tsunade, you've had too much to drink." Oink oink. Danton squeals in fear, burrowing into Shizun's arms. "I'm not drunk, kid, you've got a good eye." Tsunade turns to Naruto, her eyes suddenly softening. Nawaka, a broken bar. Naruto immediately understands. This is his passive ability kicking in. The I remind everyone of someone technique. People, especially those emotionally vulnerable or intoxicated, tend to see someone they care about in Naruto. Tsunade sees her younger brother, Nawaki, in Naruto. Jiraiya and Kakashi see Minato in him. Even the villain's abuser, who attacked the village, saw the shadow of his student in Naruto. Before Naruto can respond, Tsunade grabs him in a tight hug, knocking over the cups and dishes. "Ugh, I can't breathe." Naruto gasps, finally managing to free himself. "Lady Tsunade, Yasmak." Tsunade flicks his forehead hard. "Call me big sister." Naruto's head spins. That flick hurts more than his mom's punches. He glances at Jiraiya for help. But Jiraiya, being the rogue he is, simply stares off into space, his eyes occasionally wandering to less appropriate places. Sakura, who has just regained her composure, seems crushed once again, mechanically using her chopsticks to stir at nothing in her bowl. Sasuke shoots Naruto a sympathetic glance. He's sure of one thing: he's going to avoid this type of woman at all costs in the future. Naruto, unwilling to argue with a drunk, sighs and mutters, "Big sister Tsunade." "Good." Tsunade smiles, leaning back and muttering in her sleep, "Shizun, roast the pig." "My brother wants some." A broken bar. Jiraiya and Shizun both fall silent. They know how much losing Dan and her younger brother, Nawaki, has affected Tsunade. She's even developed a severe fear of blood. Now, seeing her drunkenly mistaking Naruto for Nawaki, neither of them knows whether it's a good or bad thing. Eventually, Shizun leads Tsunade away. Naruto can't help but throw Jiraiya a look of pure contempt. "No wonder you're still single." A broken bar. The next morning, Naruto and Sasuke leave their room, only to find Tsunade leaning against the doorframe, rubbing her forehead. Naruto politely greets her, "Good morning, big sister Tsunade." "Huh? Who are you, kid?" "Naruto." A broken bar. She hugged him all night, calling him a dear brother, but now that she's sober, he's just a kid. This woman is dumb, Naruto thinks to himself. Sakura, hearing the commotion, steps out and stands beside Naruto and Sasuke, watching their disheveled idol recover from her hangover. Naruto explains, "We came looking for you with Sage. We met at the izakaya yesterday." Sage? Tsunade raises an eyebrow, though she instantly knows who Naruto means. "Where is he?" "Hey, is someone missing my handsome self this early?" Jiraiya strolls out of the room across the way. "You haven't changed a bit," Tsunade says. She doesn't recall much from the previous night. "So, why did you come looking for me?" "Are these your students?" Jiraiya reintroduces Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. "So, Kushina's son is all grown up," Tsunade says, eyeing Naruto. She feels a strange sense of familiarity with the boy. Naruto replies, "My mom asked me to bring you a message. She said she misses you and hopes you'll visit soon." "I see." Tsunade waves her hand dismissively. Kushina is the closest person to the family. Tsunade has left, and seeing her reminds Tsunade of her grandmother, Mito. But Konoha holds too many painful memories for her to easily return. Sensing the tension, Jiraiya changes the subject. We can talk about this later. First, I think there's someone here who's been waiting for you. Who? Jiraiya knocks on the door of two samurai who have been looking for Tsunade. The moment they see her, tears well up in their eyes as they exclaim, "It's been 3 years. We've been searching for you all this time. Do you even know how we've managed to survive these past 3 years?" Chapter 84, Tsunade's Luck. You are subordinates of the Akagi gang? Tsunade hesitates for a moment, then recognizes the two figures, vaguely remembering seeing them before, probably during one of her drinking sprees. Exactly. Bunzo pulls out the IOU, cutting straight to the point. "We're here to collect the debt." Jiraiya, already prepared for a massive financial hemorrhage, makes a mental note: if Tsunade tries to run, he'll help her up first. But Tsunade, crossing her arms, says calmly, "I did owe a debt to the Akagi gang's casino 3 years ago, but I settled it last year." Huh? The two debt collectors are stunned, and even Jiraiya makes the same incredulous noise. "Have you two been away for a year?" Tsunade sighs, looking exasperated. Turning towards the room, she shouts, "Shizune, bring the bill." Shizune quickly brings out the paperwork. After seeing the boss's signature on the bill, the debt collectors turn pale, realizing their mistake. They mutter under their breath, confused about their long absence. Naruto shakes his head at these two hapless debt collectors. "You're debt collectors, not runaways. How do you not check back for a whole year?" Then, with a sigh, he thinks, in a world where people mostly rely on walking for transportation and shouting for communication, I guess this kind of thing happens. Not everyone has the Flying Thunder God Jutsu or KCN. The two unlucky samurai eventually leave, downtrodden. Jiraiya, feeling sorry for them, hands them some money for travel. Sakura, meanwhile, has a glimmer of hope that her idol, Tsunade, still has some redeeming qualities. It's not that she never repays her debts, she reasons, it's just the timeline for repayment gets a bit stretched. Despite Tsunade's notorious gambling and debt dodging, her character isn't so bad that she refuses to pay entirely. Otherwise, her reputation would be ruined long ago, and no one would lend her money at all. "Now that this nonsense is sorted, I'm heading to place some bets," Tsunade says, stretching lazily. Jiraiya's eyes can't help but wonder in a certain place. "Wait a second, I still need to talk to you." Jiraiya snaps back to reality, stopping her in her tracks. "You're annoying, Jiraiya." "I don't have time, the games won't wait for anyone." Tsunade huffs and turns to leave. "Do you even have any money?" Jiraiya smirks, knowing that Shizune told him Tsunade lost all her money yesterday. Tsunade freezes mid-step. "That is a serious problem. I'll just borrow from the casino again," she mutters stubbornly. Jiraiya grins. "How about these? Let's make a bet. I'll gamble with you." "Oh?" Tsunade perks up, her interest piqued. "What's the wager?" "If you win, I'll lend you the money to gamble at the casino. If you lose, you hear me out." Jiraiya is confident. He isn't a gambler by nature, but to beat Tsunade, he doesn't think much skill is necessary. Just having a pulse should be enough. "Deal." Tsunade agrees immediately, pulling a deck of cards from somewhere in her clothes. Naruto has no idea how or where she stores all this stuff. It's in her ahem. Inside, Jiraiya and Tsunade sit facing each other, with Naruto and the others watching closely. Shizune prays silently for Jiraiya to win. Their wallet is already overflowing with IOUs, and Tsunade simply can't afford to lose again. Naruto, too, hopes Jiraiya will win, worried that if Tsunade wins, things might turn dangerous for everyone in the room. Tsunade skillfully shuffles and deals the cards. The game itself is unfamiliar to Naruto. Each player is dealt 5 cards. Then they discard and draw more according to rules Naruto doesn't understand. After a few rounds, they show their hands. Jiraiya's mouth hangs open, and Tsunade trembles slightly. Even Sakura and Naruto can't make heads or tails of the cards. Shizune makes a strange noise, clearly more familiar with the rules. Even Danton the pig looks confused. Naruto has a sinking feeling. No way. Did Tsunade win? Tsunade's expression turns serious as she throws her cards down. One more game, she demands. Jiraiya sighs but agrees, shuffling again. They switch games and play multiple rounds each time. Tsunade wins. Dice games, card games, no matter what they play, Tsunade keeps winning. At last, she crushes the dice cup in frustration, pieces scattering across the floor. She crosses her arms tightly, staring at the floor in silence. Tsunade knows her luck all too well. Whenever she wins at gambling, something terrible is sure to follow. Who'll be in danger this time? Jiraiya, Shizune, or Naruto? Sasuke and Sakura are clueless as to why Tsunade isn't happy about her winning streak. Naruto, on the other hand, is panicking. He knows Tsunade's luck is ominously more accurate than even the Great Toad Sage's prophecies. Whenever she wins, something bad happens, usually to someone close to her. Don't worry, Jiraiya says, trying to comfort her. It's normal to have good luck once in a while. He then pulls out a stack of bills and places them in front of her. I lost, so here's the money, do what you like. Tsunade glances at the money, bites her lip, and then looks up. Why did you come to me, Jiraiya? Jiraiya's tone becomes serious. It's about Konoha. The Chunin exams are happening, and Minato received intel that Suna might be plotting something. They could be working with Orochimaru to attack Konoha, and if they do, it could turn into another war. We need your help as a medical expert. Orochimaru? Tsunade's expression darkens at the name. If it's him, is it revenge for losing the Hokage seat to Minato? No, he doesn't seem the type to care about such things. More likely, he wants revenge on the third Hokage. And Suna? She mutters in disgust. Another war? Tsunade's memories flash her grandfather, her lover Dan, her younger brother Nawaki. All lost to war. And now it threatens to start again. Come back to Konoha with me, Tsunade, Jiraiya urges. Naruto can already sense it. If anyone is fated to die in this chaos, it might be the third Hokage. While the old man might want to die in battle, Naruto doesn't want that. If he does, it will create a chain reaction of grief and low morale in Konoha, affecting his family and Minato's leadership. Tsunade has the power to prevent it. But how to convince her? Should Naruto use the Flying Thunder God Jutsu to teleport her back to Konoha by force? All he needs to do is touch her. Chapter 85, Dormapoff. Tsunade go back to Konoha. Tsunade murmurs. Do I have the courage to return to the village that holds so many painful memories? As Tsunade stood at the crossroads of her past and future, a storm of conflicting emotions churned within her. The familiar weight of grief pressed heavily on her. Nawaki's innocent face, full of hope, and Dan's passionate promise to change the village for the better haunted her every thought. How could she, of all people, take up the mantle that had brought nothing but loss to those she loved? Becoming close to her had cost them their lives, and the pain of those memories still lingered like open wounds. What good is power if you can't save the ones who matter most? She had once asked herself, bitterness seeping into her voice. The village had taken everything from her, and for years, she convinced herself that she didn't owe it anything in return. Konoha could burn for all she cared. She would never go back. But then, there is that boy Naruto. The spitting image of her younger brother's reckless passion, one she had tried to bury. At first, it had infuriated her, how stubborn he was, how naive. But somewhere in those loud declarations and defiant A's, she saw something else, a glimmer of hope, the same hope she had seen in Nawaki and Dan. Is it possible to protect them? To protect the village? A broken bar without losing anyone else? The thought gnawed at her, something she had long given up on. And Naruto doesn't act rashly. There's no way to force her back. If he tries, his house might end up either redecorated or outright demolished. Then, he'd have no choice but to crash at Sasuke's place again, which he's already done more times than he can count. Surely, sleeping over one more time won't hurt, right? For now, Naruto decides to rely on his talk no jutsu rather than force. He quips, "Why is Tsunade-san so upset after winning a bet?" "Naruto, don't say unnecessary things," Jiraiya interrupts. not wanting Tsunade to relive those painful memories. Maybe if I sweeten things up and call her sis, she won't kill me, Naruto thinks. As for whether it's appropriate to call her that, well, even if Tsunade Isakoffer very experienced in age, it shouldn't be an issue. Tsunade looks at Naruto, seeing a glimpse of Nawaki. Back then, Nawaki was about the same age, and he used to call her sister just like that. This boy reminds her so much of him. No wonder she felt a sense of familiarity when she first saw him. At his age, Naruto should have never even experienced war, yet he might get caught up in one soon. Would his fate end up like Nawaki's? Tsunade tries to calm herself. There's nothing I can't say. Every time I win a bet, the people around me suffer bad luck, so broken bar maybe it's just a coincidence. Naruto counters. Things were fine before, and now you've won. Isn't that just luck? How many coincidences can there be? Tsunade's voice is strained. I usually lose every bet, but this time, I won a dozen games in a row. I'll bet with you, Naruto exclaims. Maybe the Pavi sage just has bad luck. I mean, he got caught peeping at the women's bath even with all his ninja skills. Sakura, who has been silently watching, takes a few steps back. She silently vows that as long as Jiraiya is in the village, she will never step foot in the bathhouse. Jiraiya braces himself for a punch but notices that Tsunade isn't moving. Honestly, he thinks it might have been better if she had hit him rather than wallowing in sadness. Tsunade stares at Naruto for a few seconds, then picks up the money Jiraiya placed in front of her and slaps it on the table. Alright, let's bet. Where's your wager? Naruto digs into his frog wallet, pulling out a few coins and small bills. He's broke. Before the Chunin exams, he had commissioned a custom kunai and treated Kurama to a feast. He'd also spent most of his pocket money on snacks for Hinata. This is all he has left. He pushes the money forward. I'll bet with these first. Tsunade doesn't mind and randomly grabs a banknote. How do you want to bet? Naruto pulls out a coin. I don't know much about other games. How about a coin toss? Fine, Tsunade agrees, thinking the result will be the same no matter what they bet on. Naruto flicks the coin into the air. Heads or tails? Tsunade watches the coin spin. Heads. Ding, ding, ding. The coin lands at tails. Naruto smirks. He's betting on his good fortune. After all, despite everything, the Kyuubi hasn't wiped out his family. Maybe he can counteract Tsunade's bad luck. Tsunade is stunned. She isn't sure if she should feel relieved or not. She grabs another bill. Again. Naruto gathers up his small change, leaving only the bank notes on the table. The coin flies up again. Heads. Tsunade guesses. Ding, ding, ding. Tails. Keep going. Heads. Tails. Heads. A broken bar 8 more times. Tsunade guesses wrong. Frustrated, she slams the table. Are you cheating? Naruto's heart is pounding. The odds of guessing wrong 10 times in a row are slim, but he hands the coin to Tsunade. Wanna toss it yourself? Tsunade tosses the coin, and Naruto guesses. Heads. The coin lands her heads. Again. Tails. Tails. Heads. A broken bar. Naruto is enjoying the game. He even considers trying to make the coin stand on its edge just for fun. After several rounds, Naruto realizes the truth. According to probability theory, each coin toss is an independent event. The odds of guessing correctly are always 50%. But under his lucky streak and Tsunade's bad luck, it seems almost natural for him to win repeatedly. Tsunade stares at her last banknote. Normally, losing would leave her feeling miserable, but this time, it feels easier. Jiraiya, your turn. Tsunade hands the coin to him. Huh? Oh, Jiraiya, still surprised at how things are unfolding, guesses. Tails. The coin lands her heads. None of them understand what's happening. Could it be, as Naruto suggested, that Jiraiya just has awful luck? Tsunade tries betting with Shizune and Jiraiya again but eventually returns to Naruto. In the end, only Naruto can win against her. What is this? Tsunade wonders. Why is he the only one who can beat me? Naruto places his stack of winnings on the table, flashing his trademark grin. So, Tsunade-san, maybe luck exists, but you shouldn't be too superstitious. Even if you think your winning streak brings bad luck, didn't you lose to me? Maybe I'm here to break your so-called curse. Tsunade looks at Naruto. She hasn't seen such a hopeful smile in a long time. Maybe I should trust this kid? Let's make another bet, huh? I said, let's bet again. If you win, I'll return to Konoha with you. If you lose Broken Bar, I'll give you all this money. Naruto shrugs, unfazed by the idea. If you lose, you have to call me big sister. Naruto meets her eyes with a serious expression. I'm not Nawaki, I'm Naruto. Pretending to be Nawaki, playing on her emotions, that's not something Naruto can do in good conscience. Tsunade smiles. I know. Naruto grins back. Alright, big sister. Read up to 20 plus chapters ahead on Patreon. https://www.patreon.com/iamxno. Drop some PS if you like the fanfic. Thank you for reading. Comment for comment. Vote to left. Chapter 86, 86. Sakura Haruno, 120 plus advanced chapters on patreon.com/iamxno. Drop some power stones if you enjoy the chapter. Winning or losing the game no longer matters. In the end, Tsunade has a reason for returning to Konoha, and Naruto has gained an older sister. And Jiraiya Broken Bar. By the way, Naruto, didn't you say that you caught Jiraiya peeking at the women's bath? Jiraiya immediately becomes alert, discreetly distancing himself from Tsunade, thinking, this kid promised not to mention this. What is he up to? Yeah. He even taught me a jutsu and told me not to mention it to my mum, Naruto says, completely betraying Jiraiya, though not specifying that he wasn't supposed to mention it to his sister. So, sis, you'll keep this a secret, right? Don't tell mum. Hey, no problem. Tsunade grins, clenching her fist. I'll help him keep that secret. Jiraiya takes a few steps back, sweat forming on his forehead. Wait, I can explain before he can finish. Tsunade's fist slams into his chest. Jiraiya, a human-shaped hole appears in the wall of the inn. Across the street, Jiraiya is embedded in the wall. Tsunade cracks her knuckles in satisfaction. Much better. Sasuke and Sakura, who have never seen anything like this, stand frozen in shock. Will a Broken Bar, will he die? Sakura asks. Naruto feels a bit guilty. We were just playing around. I didn't want to get him killed. He tugs at Tsunade's sleeve. Granny, did you hit him too hard? It's fine, Tsunade says confidently. At most, he'll break a rib. He's not going to die. Wait, what did you just say? Oh, Naruto nods, trusting her expertise as a medic. He grabs the money from the table and waves it to everyone. Let's go. The Pavi sage is treating us to dinner. Come here, you brat. Tsunade shouts in anger. Everyone has a great meal, and, of course, Naruto knocks Jiraiya out of the wall afterwards. The injuries aren't serious, just a fractured rib. In the ninja world, such an injury is nothing, especially considering it comes from Tsunade. After they eat and drink their fill, and while Tsunade isn't drunk, Naruto asks, sis, when are we leaving? As soon as Jiraiya recovers. Don't worry, we'll get back to Konoha before the Chunin exams, Tsunade assures him, thinking about how there will be fewer casinos once they return. Jiraiya doesn't argue. He merely bandages his chest and applies some medicine. Tsunade doesn't even bother to use medical ninjutsu on him. Naruto points at Sakura. Since you're not doing anything, why not take on an apprentice? Tsunade glances at Sakura, who immediately straightens up and looks at her expectantly. No, teaching is such a hassle, Tsunade replies. After all, it would cut into her gambling time. Come on, Sakura is talented, Naruto insists. She might even master your medical ninjutsu completely. She already has a good foundation. Tsunade wraps her arm around Naruto's neck and whispers, Naruto, let me tell you something. That girl's mind is clearly on that Uchiha boy. No matter how nice you are to her, it won't change that. Don't tease me. Naruto wriggles free. I have a girlfriend back in Konoha. I'm recommending Sakura because she's genuinely talented. Really? Shizune, test her. Tsunade relents, deciding to give Sakura a chance. Yes, Shizune says, proceeding to ask Sakura some basic medical questions. Sakura, who has thought all hope is lost, eagerly answers the questions, glad for the opportunity. Naruto, meanwhile, picks up the pig from the table and pets it. It doesn't feel as nice as Akamaru, but it still feels nice to pet it. Naruto switches to play mode. Poyo. The pig doesn't dare resist, fearing Naruto might cook it. At first, the questions are simple enough that even Naruto can understand them. But soon, the conversation between Shizune and Sakura devolves into an incomprehensible medical exam. To Naruto, it sounds like, Shizune, *% diaresis yen a broken bar at Sakura, a broken bar % a broken bar. What the heck are they talking about? Naruto thinks. I can understand the words individually, but together it's all gibberish. Are all medical students this knowledgeable? 10 minutes later, green chakra glows from Sakura's hand. Tsunade nods approvingly. Very good. From now on, you're my apprentice. Yes, Tsunade-sensei. Sakura jumps up excitedly, bowing to her new teacher before turning to Naruto and Shizune. Thank you, Naruto, and thank you, Shizune-sensei. Congrats. Naruto cheers, happy for her. In the ninja world, having a good teacher makes all the difference. Shizune congratulates her new junior as well. Only Jiraiya looks at Sakura sympathetically, knowing how tough being Tsunade's apprentice can be. Then he thinks, maybe she'll beat me up less in the future. That idea brightens his mood. The next day, the group of 6 heads outside the village to find a suitable training ground. Jiraiya, still nursing his injury, sits off to the side, offering advice to Naruto and Sasuke. Shizune holds Danton and teaches Sakura while Tsunade a broken bar boom. Between lectures, there are frequent explosions and screams, and most of them are of Sakura's coming from the training ground. Naruto and Sasuke exchange worried looks. Tsunade's punches leave forming huge craters, and the ground is riddled with spiderweb cracks. Will Sakura survive this? Sasuke whispers, his eyes wide. He glances at Jiraiya with newfound respect. He took a punch from her and only broke a rib. Truly worthy of the Sannin. Jiraiya, lost in thought, isn't paying attention to Sasuke's gaze. He is remembering a time Tsunade broke 6 of his ribs for peeking at her bath. Absent-mindedly touching his current injury, he sighs. Youth, a broken bar so full of regrets. Meanwhile, Tsunade is explaining the 3 rules of medical ninjas to Sakura. 1. A medical ninja must never stop treatment until their comrades die. 2. A medical ninja must never be on the front lines. 3. A medical ninja must never die before their comrades. The first rule requires cultivating a strong sense of duty. The second depends on the strength of teammates. But the third, Tsunade is training Sakura herself for that one. The training method: combat. If you can dodge my attacks, great. If not, endure 'em. If you get hurt, don't worry, I'll heal you. It'll even double as live instruction. Once you can withstand dozens of my moves, you'll be considered qualified. Tsunade's teaching is simple, brutal, and effective. Unlike her previous training with Naruto and Sasuke, this time Tsunade isn't holding back. By the end of the day, the training ground is devastated, filled with deep craters and cracks. Sakura is battered, having fallen countless times, covered in scrapes and bruises. And that is with Tsunade pulling her punches, keeping her attacks within Sakura's reaction range. Tsunade is strict. Today was just an introduction. Tomorrow, I won't go so easy on you. Yes, thank you, Tsunade-sensei. Sakura grits her teeth, determined not to give up. This is the hardest training she has ever experienced, but she has the resolve to push through. I have released the introduction first chapter of One Piece, Wielder of the Void on Patreon. I will start uploading hereafter. I have enough chapters on Patreon. Read up to 20+ chapters ahead on Patreon. https://www.patreon.com/iamxno. Chapter 87. Sakura Haruno. 2. In the days that followed, Sakura endures Tsunade's training and beatings every day while learning medical ninjutsu. However, she grits her teeth and refuses to give up. She truly wants to become stronger, from the bottom of her heart. One night, Naruto knocks on Sakura's door, seeing how exhausted she is, and says, "Let's talk." Sakura nods and lets him in. The two sit opposite each other at the table. Naruto, without hesitation, pours himself some tea and asks, "Sakura, do you regret it?" Sakura shakes her head, replying, "This is an opportunity you helped me get. I won't give up that easily." For Sasuke, Naruto guesses right away. Sakura hesitates for a moment, then smiles. Maybe at first, but not anymore. Naruto is taken aback. "You don't like Sasuke anymore?" "Of course I do." Sakura quickly denies it. Naruto eyes her suspiciously. "Then why did you say that?" Sakura sighs, feeling the need to talk. "I've realized something lately." Naruto sits up, interested, and pours her a cup of tea. "I'd like to hear more." Sakura, used to Naruto's quirky behavior, begins, "When I first graduated from the academy, I had no real goals. My only dream was Sasuke." She reminisces. Sasuke was handsome, confident, strong. Everything about him seemed perfect. Naruto sets down his tea, interrupting, "I didn't come here to listen to you praise him." Sakura chuckles. All right, I always admired him, but I never really knew him. To him, I might just be a familiar face. Maybe in his heart, your sneeze would worry him more than me getting injured." Naruto laughs internally, thinking they share a deep friendship and brotherhood, but now he understands Sakura better. Sakura seems like a fan who fell for Sasuke as if he was an idol. Without knowing why, she developed those feelings and suffered for it. She fell in love with someone who didn't reciprocate. Looking at the ceiling, Sakura continues, "I'm like a cherry blossom petal blown by the wind. I saw a tree I liked and wanted to reach it desperately, without ever considering if he liked me back or needed me. I didn't even know if I could get there." Naruto feels a bit out of his depth, sipping tea to cover his embarrassment. His love story was far simpler. He liked someone, she liked him back, and that was it. In that sense, I've been outshined by Hinata. Wait. Hinata? Sakura smiles wistfully. Hinata always had her own goals. She worked hard to become stronger. To be honest, I was amazed by her during the Chunin exams. If I were a boy, I would have liked her too. She's gentle, beautiful, strong, and hard-working. Naruto beams internally, proud to hear those words. But sensing Sakura's regret, he wants to comfort her until she speaks again. "But now I have a new goal." Sakura's voice grows firmer. "I want to become a powerful ninja like Tsunade-sensei. I don't want to be just a petal in the wind. I want to grow into a full cherry tree. If one day, Sasuke stands by my side, I want it to be because I'm worthy of him, not because I waited or because I moved him. I am Haruno Sakura, a strong Konoha ninja first, and then a girl who loves Sasuke." At that moment, Sakura radiates confidence. Naruto is impressed. If Sasuke doesn't appreciate this girl, he'll be single forever. Naruto glances at the door and says, "So, Sasuke, do you understand?" A broken bar after 3 seconds of silence. "Huh?" Sakura's expression freezes. She slowly turns toward the door, only to find it closed. She turns back, glaring at Naruto, who is laughing awkwardly. "Ha. Ha." Naruto scratches the back of his head. "Well, I just thought it was too serious, so I wanted to lighten the mood." Boom. The table shatters, spilling tea everywhere. Sakura's forehead bulges with veins, and she seethes. Naruto bolts to the door, opening it just a crack to peek back in. "Wait, Sakura, when did you gain superhuman strength?" "Tsunade-sensei has been teaching me techniques recently." Sakura cracks her knuckles with a malicious grin. "Wanna practice with me?" No, I have something to do." "See ya," Naruto declares, fleeing. 3 seconds later, his head pops back around the corner. Sakura, you broke the table. You'll have to pay for it." "Use Uzumaki Naruto," Sakura yells, shattering the table further, before chasing him to the door. This time, Naruto makes a true escape. Sakura clenches her fists and mutters, "How has Sasuke put up with him all these years without killing him?" "Sasuke, maybe because I couldn't beat him?" Sakura calms down, preparing to clean up the room. After venting and sharing her thoughts, The frustrations from the past few days ease. She laughs thinking about how Naruto came to talk to her and lighten her mood. "It's nice," she whispers. A broken bar. As time passes, Jiraiya's injury heals, and Sakura's training intensifies. She gets hurt less by Tsunade, who is pleased with her progress, feeling that Sakura is more suited to inherit her techniques than Shizu. Perhaps, after gaining more experience, Tsunade may even teach her the Yin Seal. Jiraiya watches Sakura smash a boulder with one punch, and with her long pink hair. He briefly imagines a younger Tsunade. "Wait, a pink?" Jiraiya looks again, only to see Naruto using the Messy Lion's main technique to stretch his hair into 9 strands, looking like Kushina. Naruto gleefully plays with his new ninjutsu and asks Jiraiya, "Hey, Puppy Sage, do you think I can pull off something like hair needle or something like that?" Chapter 88. Why are you running? I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm being chased by Sasuke Uchiha. But I'm not panicking. Why? Because, believe it or not, I run faster than him. Here's how it all starts. After Big Sister Tsunade heals Jiraiya-sensei's injury, we all head back to Konoha from Danzaku town. The journey back is smooth with no twists or trouble, much easier than traveling home during a mission. By noon, we reach Konoha. Tsunade and Jiraiya go straight to the Hokage office, while Sakura hurries home to report to her family. Naruto, being Naruto, finds out through a phone call that Kushina has led a team on a mission, so the house is empty. With Hinata busy, he decides to tag along with Sasuke and grab a meal at his place. However, once they arrive, Sasuke's mother informs him that on the day he was kidnapped by Naruto, his brother Itachi had taken leave to train with him. But since Sasuke wasn't there, Itachi ended up spending the day with Izumi instead. Naruto senses that things are about to go bad and tries to slip away quietly. Sasuke, on the other hand, doesn't even catch his mom's next remark about Itachi spending more time with Izumi lately. His mind is fully occupied by one thought: he has missed an entire month of training private time with his brother, all thanks to Naruto. And so, there it is, Sasuke, furious and filled with regret, starts chasing Naruto down with Sharingan flaring red. Feeling a little guilty, Naruto just runs. "Why are you running? Why are you running?" Sasuke yells, his voice echoing through the streets. "Why should I stop when you're chasing me?" Naruto shouts while continuing to run. No way is he going to make this easy for Sasuke. "If you weren't running, I wouldn't be chasing. And if you weren't chasing, I wouldn't be running. I'm going to kill you. Like you can even catch me." The two shinobi dash through the alleys of Konoha, sprinting across rooftops, circling the village again and again. Sparks fly as their feet hit the ground. Along the way, they run into Gai-sensei's team of 3 and Kimimura's group, who seem to get fired up by the sight of Naruto and Sasuke's wild chase. Naruto could have sworn he heard Gai shout something about the power of youth. After hours of high-speed pursuit, Sasuke's stamina gives out. He realizes, once again, that no matter how angry he gets, a regular human's endurance can't compete with Naruto's insane chakra reserves. Exhausted and out of breath, he hasn't even noticed that his Sharingan has evolved during the chase. "You huff. Better stop." Sasuke pants, barely able to stand as his pace slows. "You done yet?" Naruto asks, equally tired but still pushing ahead. He isn't about to stop. Not unless he wants to get beat up. "I swear, if I didn't feel a bit guilty, I'd have flattened you by now." So Naruto keeps running, not daring to stop in front of those blazing Sharingan eyes. Eventually, Sasuke collapses from exhaustion, leaving Naruto to carry him on his back as they head to Sasuke's house. Naruto, unable to resist teasing his friend, mutters, "Why'd you go nuts? I didn't even know Itachi took leave to train with you." HMPH, Sasuke grumbles. He knows it isn't entirely Naruto's fault, and as much as he hates it, Naruto has good intentions. "And, even if you did catch me, what could you do? I can't time travel, you know. Plus, you've gotten a lot stronger this month." HMPH, Sasuke mutters again, trying to brush it off. He knows Naruto is right, but he isn't about to admit it. Hey, are you a girl? It's disgusting if a boy pouts. You know I will kill you next time, Uzumaki. Naruto shakes his head. Man, you are stubborn. You're always picking fights, and then you wear yourself out and make me carry you back. I didn't ask for a ride. Sasuke turns his head, too proud to admit defeat. Naruto almost drops him right there. Seriously? I haven't even carried Hinata yet. But I'm stuck carrying your sweaty, grumpy self. When Naruto finally arrives at the Uchiha compound with Sasuke, they run into Itachi and Izumi, who are just saying goodbye. Brother? Sasuke tries to get down but is too worn out to stand on his own. Naruto has to help him stay upright. Yo, little Sasuke. Naruto. Izumi greets them with a smile. You two seem close as always. What happened to Sasuke? Itachi asks, noticing his younger brother's state. Sasuke turns his face away, too embarrassed to explain. Naruto, ever the bro, steps in. Just some physical training. Pushed himself too hard. Sasuke doesn't argue. After all, long-distance running is physical training, right? Let me take him, Itachi says, lifting Sasuke onto his back. Without breaking a sweat, Sasuke doesn't resist, leaning against his brother, feeling his anger drain away. Naruto, curious as ever, asks with a grin, you two have been on a date or something? Izumi blushes instantly. No, we just had a meal together. Itachi, always composed, calmly replies, that's all it was. Naruto, channeling his inner Kushina, narrows his eyes at the pair. Really? 'Cause Aunt Mikoto told me, you've been spending a lot of time together lately. Flustered, Izumi stammers, we've just been hanging out. Well, goodbye, she says quickly, before rushing off, clearly embarrassed. Goodbye, Sister Izumi. Naruto calls after her. Itachi chuckles and turns to Naruto. Take care, Naruto. Naruto waves and makes his way home. When Naruto arrives home, the place is packed. Tsunade has just finished checking up on Kimimara's health. Naruto had asked her to take a look at him for signs of his bloodline disease, and apparently, Tsunade had taken it seriously. Jiraiya and Minato are chatting on the couch, while Kakashi is reading one of Jiraiya's books, though not Yaka Paradise for once, but a collection of stories Minato has written. In the kitchen, Karen is helping Kushina cook, while Haku is already setting the table. The atmosphere feels warm and familiar just like always. But then Naruto does a double take. Haku, what are you doing here? Chapter 89. One more brother. Haku, why are you here? Naruto looks at Haku, who is helping in the kitchen, his eyes narrowing with curiosity. Did I miss a chapter or two of my own life? Naruto, call him your brother. Kushina corrects him, holding a spoon in her hand. Brother? Naruto raises an eyebrow, feeling a bit confused. Isn't this turning into a strange, extended ninja family? Yes, Haku officially became my son a few days ago, Kushina says, her face lighting up with happiness. Haku tilts his head slightly, showing a smile so beautiful it could make many girls envious. Naruto-kun, no, Otto, please take care of me from now on. Naruto nods, still a bit stunned. Having more brothers is fine, but being called Otto always reminds him of Sasuke. His mind wanders briefly, imagining them all going on missions together. He pictures them facing enemies, using their various Kekai Genkai to defeat foes several times their size. The enemy, beaten and lying on the ground, asks in shock, "You're so strong." "Who are you?" Kimimaro steps forward and says, "I, Kimimaro, am the son of the fourth Hokage." Haku follows, "I, Haku, am the son of the fourth Hokage." Karen steps up next, "I, Karen, am the daughter of the fourth Hokage." And Naruto, of course, finishes, "I, Naruto, am the son of the fourth Hokage." So stupid. Snapping back to reality, Naruto remembers something and turns to Kushina. "Wait, why didn't you tell me about this over the phone?" "That's kinda important, don't you think?" Kushina chuckles. She doesn't bother correcting him anymore. "I wanted it to be a surprise." "Are you happy?" Happy? Naruto mutters. Sure, he's happy, but he's starting to wonder if his spot in the family hierarchy is slipping. Can you tell me what happened while I was gone? Did Haku join Konoha for good? Minato appears at that moment. Let me explain. Before Zabuza and Haku were captured, they were both considered rogue ninjas. Naruto notices that Haku doesn't react at all to the mention of his past. He just smiles softly. Minato continues, although I intended to cooperate with them, we had to interrogate them as part of protocol. I apologize for that. You've apologized enough, Hokage-sama, Haku says gently. Zabuza-sama and I understand your position. Minato nods and explains further. Afterward, Kushina learned about Haku's past and insisted that Haku and Kimimaro, both have faced so much hardship, should be part of our family. Naruto already knows Haku's backstory, how his entire village feared and persecuted him for his ice release Kekai Genkai. Haku further killed his mother upon learning of her abilities and was about to do the same to Haku. In his panic, Haku unleashed his ice release, turning the entire house into an ice sculpture. He survived but is later taken in by Zabuza, who treats him as a mere tool through they eventually grow to care for each other in their way. So, did Haku just agree to this? Naruto asks, turning to Haku. Well, Zabuza-sama was about to leave for a mission and insisted that I stay in Konoha. He told me that he used to see me only as a tool, but after seeing how easily you interact with the Hokage and Jonin here, he realized that Konoha might be a better place for me. You didn't agree right away, did you? Naruto asks. He guesses Zabuza's mission probably has something to do with the Land of Water. His father, after all, is trying to pursue peace across the ninja world. Haku smiles softly. At first, I didn't. I insisted on staying as Zabuza-sama's tool. But then, he gave me one final order as his tool to become a real person and live for myself. Naruto's eyes widen in surprise. Zabuza, that guy, doesn't seem like such a cold-blooded killer after all. But I wasn't sure how to do that until your parents invited me into their home. I feel something warm here, Haku says, placing a hand on his chest. It's similar to the feeling I had when I was needed by Zabuza-sama, but different. Warmer. Haku smiles again. I'm not sure if I'm a real person yet, but I can tell you Thesa, I like this family. Naruto slowly nods, starting to understand the situation. Not bad, he thinks. So, what happens after Zabuza finishes his mission? Will you go back to him? Minato ruffles Naruto's spiky blonde hair. Zabuza will become one of Konoha's strongest allies. We won't stop Haku from meeting or even teaming up with him. Oh. Naruto ducks away from Minato's hand. Excuse me. Shizune suddenly bursts in, carrying Danton. You're late, Shizune. Tsunade throws her cards down in frustration. She has been playing cards with Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Kimimaro. Naruto suspects she lost once again and has used Shizune as an excuse to stop playing. It's not my fault, Tsunade-sama. You left all the work to me. Shizune sits down with a sigh. Oink. See? Even Danton agrees. Shizune retorts, using her uncanny ability to understand Danton's language. Tsunade nonchalantly pours herself another cup of sake. Oh. Quit whining. Can't you see I'm busy? Shizune makes a dramatic face. Busy drinking? You're supposed to be taking over the entire medical division. Please, take it seriously. Tsunade rolls her eyes, but Shizune isn't wrong. Minato had arranged for Tsunade to take over Konoha's medical affairs, and Jiraiya is being prepared to handle intelligence, slowly replacing the current advisors. As everyone settles down, the table is full of food. The whole family gathers around, raising their cups. Cheers. Chapter 90. Danzo. The next day, 3 elders gather, but they don't invite the third Hokage to join them. Since the meeting is initiated by Danzo, it takes place at his residence. Koharu Utatane takes a sip of tea and says, "It's been quite a while, Danzo." Homura Mitokado nods, adding, "Yes. Ever since the disbanding of Root, you've become more and more reclusive." Danzo, seated opposite them with his cane in his hand, gazes at his old comrades. Through his single eye he speaks gravely. This old man had planned to retire, but over the years, the actions of the fourth Hokage have become excessive. How can a Hokage so freely treat shinobi from other villages as his own children? Homura, being responsible for intelligence, is somewhat familiar with these matters. I'm aware of those children. They're talented and young. With proper training, they could become Konoha's future pillars. Danzo scoffs. HMPH. You trust in emotions too easily. Leave them to me, and I'll make sure they're molded into perfect tools. Koharu raises an eyebrow, sensing there is more to Danzo's agenda. Did you gather us here just to discuss this? No, Danzo replies. I wanted to ask, are you really satisfied if you are replaced by others? Homura adjusts his glasses, wary. What do you mean? Danzo's voice lowers. I suspect that Jiraiya and Tsunade will soon replace you. The two glance at each other but remain silent. Seeing the lack of denial, Danzo presses on. The fourth Hokage is too young, too reckless. It was a grave mistake for Hiruzen to choose him in the first place. Homura disagrees. But Konoha has grown stronger in recent years. The fourth Hokage has done well. Even the Uchiha clan has superficial strength. Danzo interrupts. The fourth Hokage is too naive, allowing a Uchiha to become the head of the Anbu and captain of the Hokage Guard. If they harbor any ill intentions, Konoha could fall in an instant. Have you forgotten the Nine Tails attack? But the fourth has already proven the Uchiha wasn't responsible for that incident. At least not the Uchiha within the village. The police force is even opening its doors to non-Uchiha now. Homura counters. Their involvement in the police force is irrelevant. That clan can't be trusted. If it were up to me, I'd have handled them much better, Danzo declares with unwavering confidence. Koharu, growing impatient, asks directly, what are you really getting at, Danzo? After a brief pause, Danzo speaks. If the fourth Hokage's decisions lead to disaster, I hope you'll support me. Danzo, don't do anything rash, Koharu warns. That's right. We've dedicated our lives to Konoha, and we won't let you harm the village, Homura adds. Both of them suspect that Danzo, having been sidelined for so long, is eager to reclaim power through drastic measures. Everything I do is for Konoha, Danzo replies sternly, as he always has, convincing himself of this truth for years. Let's hope so, Koharu says. Neither Homura nor Koharu believe their old friend would betray Konoha for power. After all, they are heirs to the will of fire. Or so they think. Yet, as they leave, they resolve to keep a closer watch on Danzo. After they depart, a black-haired boy enters the room, kneeling respectfully before Danzo. Danzo-sama, he greets. Danzo looks down at him and orders, from now on, until the mission is complete, your name will be Sei. Yes, Danzo-sama, Sei says, forcing a smile as he raises his head. Danzo scrutinizes him for a moment and says, don't put on that fake smile around me. My apologies. The books say that to win trust, you must smile first, but I can't quite control my expressions, Sei explains, returning to his neutral demeanor. You're still not fully prepared, but Danzo thinks to himself, I don't have many options left. Aloud, he says, but you are the most suitable for this task. Don't fail me. Understood. Sei stands and leaves. Danzo turns and stares in the direction of the Sarutobi residence, muttering under his breath, as he leans on his cane, forgive me, Hiruzen, but if it's for Konoha, I know you'd be willing to make sacrifices. Of course not. Sarutobi Hiruzen exclaims, setting down his pipe and looking at the water stains on his robes. Konohamaru, how many times do I have to tell you? You don't need to defeat your grandfather to become Hokage. Konohamaru's head droops in disappointment after his failed ambush. But grandpa, didn't you say you're the strongest Hokage? If I beat you, I should become Hokage. Hiruzen chuckles, though slightly choked on his pipe smoke. Was it wrong for a grandfather to boast a little to his grandson? After all, Minato wouldn't be around to call him out. He pats Konohamaru's head and says, being Hokage isn't just about strength. It's about protecting the village in its time of need. Where Konoha thrives. Before he can finish his lecture, Konohamaru has already run off. Grandpa always says the same thing, The boy grumbles something about flames never dying out. But Naruto-Nisan says fire only leads to ashes if you burn down a forest. Maybe Naruto-Nisan makes more sense after all. Ouch! Konohamaru yelps, rubbing his head after bumping into someone. He looks up to see red hair and quickly bows. Sorry, Aunt Kushina. Kushina ruffles his hair. Be more careful next time, Konohamaru. Off you go. Hello, Lord Third, Mrs. Sarutobi. Kushina greets as she steps into the room. Biwako, having just finished cleaning up after Konohamaru's prank, smiles warmly. Kushina, it's been a while. Would you like some tea? Thank you, Kushina replies, sitting down. I've been busy with the Chunin exams lately. I came by to ask some questions about jutsu. Of course. Give me a moment to change, Hiruzen says, pointing to his soaked clothes. Kushina smiles. Another one of Konohamaru's pranks? He behaves so well around me. Hiruzen sighs as he walks into the house. Yeah, but he's quite a handful. I'll be back shortly. As Hiruzen leaves the room, Kushina leans closer to Biwako, her face serious, and whispers something quietly. Biwako's eyes widen in surprise, but she nods solemnly, accepting a small package from Kushina. Afterwards, Kushina asks a few questions about water-style jutsu, then politely takes her leave. Chapter 91, Return of 3 Ukihas. There has to be a limit for messing around, Sakura complained. Yesterday, she had heard about Naruto and Sasuke's latest chase. Sparks and lightning had flown through the air. When Sasuke started slowing down, he activated his Chidori in frustration. If Naruto hadn't been prepared, he would have been injured. Though Sasuke's move was fast, it didn't last long. Exhausted, he hadn't fully recovered until today. Sakura checked Sasuke over several times, finally relaxing when she saw that he was only exhausted with a slight muscle strain. Sasuke resisted for a moment but soon realized that even after she used 70% of her strength, Sakura wasn't even phased. Accepting defeat, he lay flat, giving up. What's the big deal? You know, Sakura, if it were me, this little injury would be healed with just some sleep. Naruto grinned as he bounced around. Today, Kushina didn't have any work, so Team 7 had a day off. Hinata and the others didn't come. Kakashi was finally able to relax, perched in a tree, reading his favorite book. Sakura grew quiet at Naruto's words. She had checked his body before and since starting medical training. She measured the physical limits of everyone in both Team 7 and Team 8. But Naruto is something else. His limit was beyond reason, and even when he hit that limit, he kept training. At first, Sakura had tried to stop him, but each time Naruto collapsed like a dead man, he'd bounced back the next day, stronger than ever. She even had to adjust her estimate of his limits slightly higher every time. It was absurd. At noon, Naruto invited Sasuke and Sakura to eat at his house. Kakashi didn't need an invitation, he just tagged along without a second thought. In the afternoon, they all headed to the hospital with Kushina. Kakashi decided to take the whole team with him, figuring out that with Sasuke still recovering, they couldn't train properly anyway. Tsunade would be the lead surgeon for Kimimura's operation, with Sakura and Shizune assisting her. As for Tsunade's hemophobia, it was psychological. Once she overcame her past traumas and found a new purpose, her fear would gradually disappear. 2 hours later, Naruto was bored out of his mind, slouching to the side at a 45-degree angle, mimicking Brook from One Piece. While he wasn't exactly worried about Kimimura's surgery, early detection and treatment by the world's best medical ninja ensured there was no danger. Finally, the light above the operating room turned green, and Tsunade came out with Sakura, smiling. The operation was successful. After a couple of days of rest, Kimimura can resume normal activities. Great. Everyone waiting in the hallway breathed a sigh of relief and cheered softly. Even Pakkun, who had been waiting outside with Naruto, wagged his tail in happiness, feeling more secure now that Naruto had calmed down. Ugh! Came the chorus of voices from Kimimura's 3 green-suited, melon-headed comrades in the corridor. They hugged each other tightly and sobbed with joy. "Let's celebrate Kimamaro's successful surgery with 1,000 push-ups," Jiro suggested. "Yeah," Jen agreed. "I'm in too," Daiki added. The three of them were about to start exercising right there in the hallway when Tsunade, Kushina, and Sakura each grabbed one by the collar and threw it out the window. "The hospital needs to be quiet, no matter what." The trio rolled on the ground but sprang up like carp, brushing the dirt off and shouting, "Since we couldn't complete our push-ups, we'll run 500 laps around the training field." And with that, they ran off. On the hospital bed, Kimamaro smiled softly, listening to the commotion outside. Afterwards, Tsunade took Karen to another room to work on removing her scars. When it came to skincare and scar removal, Tsunade was unmatched in the ninja world. Even at 50, her skin is better than many women half her age. Despite all the battles she'd been through, she bore no visible scars on her body. Second place in that area would go to Orochimaru, though his methods involved changing bodies, which came with its own broken bar side effects. Scars weren't an issue if you could just swap to a new body, but you might lose a few other things along the way. Not long after, Karen and Tsunade emerged with smiles on their faces. The scar on Karen's arm had faded significantly, and a few more sessions would remove it completely. With Kimamaro and Karen's issues resolved, the group dispersed. Haku and Karen volunteered to stay and take care of Kimamaro, while Minato dropped by to visit. It was a happy moment for the family of 5. As for why it wasn't 6, well, that was because Naruto had been kicked out by Kushina. With Team 7 and Team 8 on break, there wasn't much for him to do. Naruto left the hospital feeling dejected, as if he was being targeted. He is now waiting outside the Hyuga residence, eager for Hinata to finish changing so they can go out together. Naruto didn't understand why she needed to change clothes so carefully for a casual outing. Her usual mission attire was already pretty. After a while, the door opened, and Hinata stepped out in a light pink shirt, a lavender jacket, and a long white skirt. She walked over to Naruto, who stared at her in awe. Naruto wasn't sure if Hinata had put on makeup. He only knew a girl was wearing makeup if she had lipstick on, but it didn't matter. In his eyes, she is beautiful, and he had been waiting for over an hour. Hinata blushed at his gaze and softly murmured, "Naruto-kun, a broken bar." "Oh, Hinata, you look amazing today," Naruto said, feeling like his vocabulary was too limited. Maybe he needed to go back to his dad for more lessons. Hinata hadn't expected Naruto to recite poetry like some eloquent nobleman. A simple compliment was enough to make her heart race with happiness. Hand in hand, they set out, leaving behind a small girl training viciously in the yard. Aside from their usual training sessions, this was their first real date. Naruto hadn't planned anything in particular, but Hinata was happy to follow his lead. Before long, they found themselves at Konoha's food street. Naruto knew this place all too well. Having visited with his shadow clones many times, it was perfect for their first outing. They started sampling the food, sharing everything. At first, she'd take a bite, then he'd take one. Hinata initially tried to eat modestly, worried about her image, but Naruto's eye kicked in, and he reassured her by saying, "I like feeding you." Naruto did enjoy it, at least until his wallet was empty. Chapter 92, 92. New skin unlocked. It didn't take long for Naruto to feel a bit embarrassed as Hinata took out her small wallet and handed it to him. She really is a princess of the Hyuga clan. Under the shopkeeper's knowing gaze, Naruto used Hinata's money to settle the bill, then continued to drag her around for more food and drinks. Instead of being ashamed, Naruto was delighted. He even fed Hinata a snack, thinking, "Envy me, you losers." "Hina, don't you think the street's more crowded than usual today?" Naruto asked. According to info from one of his earlier shadow clones, this street wasn't usually this packed. "It's probably because the Chunin exams are coming up," Hinata replied thoughtfully, tapping her chin with a finger. "I heard that 4th Hokage's son will be fighting in the 3rd stage. A lot of people are coming from far away to watch." "Huh?" Naruto tilted his head, confused. He didn't realize he had so many fans. On second thought, it was likely because of his father's reputation, not his own. Hinata turned to look at him and said softly, "Everyone's looking forward to Naruto-kun's performance." Naruto turned his head towards her. "You too, Hinata?" "Of course." Hinata nodded. In her heart, Naruto-kun could never lose. Naruto sighed dramatically. "But I'm not so sure myself." Or Broken Bar. Hinata looked puzzled. "Why not?" "Naruto-kun is strong." "It's Gaara." Broken Bar. "He's not an ordinary ninja. His chakra alone is more powerful than Kakashi-sensei's," Naruto admitted. "I swear I'm telling the truth. I'd never lie to you, Hinata." Hinata's face clouded with concern. "Stronger than Kakashi-sensei? Isn't that dangerous for you, Naruto-kun?" Naruto smirked. "I'll give him my best shot, but if Hinata can give me a little extra motivation, I'll feel more confident." What kind of motivation?" Hinata blushed, sensing something mischievous in Naruto's tone. "Let's make a promise," Naruto whispered in her ear, causing her face to turn visibly red. "Since Hinata doesn't object, it's a deal." Naruto grinned like a fox who'd stolen a chicken. "Yes." A Broken Bar. Hinata murmured, still blushing. Naruto happily bought some popsicles, splitting one and handing half to Hinata. It was still her money, after all. Hinata, for her part, was happy sharing food with Naruto, taking small bites of the popsicle and momentarily forgetting her shyness. The two wandered around until evening when Naruto walked her back to her house. Before leaving, he gave her a light hug and went on his way. As he walked, Naruto started thinking about his fight against Gaara. "Gaara, this fight is mine." "Not even Shukaku can protect you," he thought confidently. "Hey, Kurama, what stance did you take when you beat Shukaku back in the day?" Naruto asked, patting the Ninetales on the chin excitedly. Kurama shot him a scornful look. "You're just doing this to impress a girl?" "Come on, don't put it like that." "It's not just about impressing hero, it's about love," Naruto quipped. Kurama grinned darkly. "Then deal with it yourself." "I suddenly don't feel like helping." "Hey, come on. It's totally normal to be your bro's wingman. And if you like some vixen in the future, I'll return the favor. Get lost." "Okay. Okay." Naruto climbed onto Kurama's back and rolled around comfortably. "Alright, I'm done rolling. How about we practice tomorrow?" Kurama's answer was a heavy smack of his tail, which Naruto barely dodged. "You're just like those oxen swatting flies with their tails," Naruto teased. "Oxen? Who are you calling an ox, brat?" And so, Naruto was promptly sent flying by the Ninetales SWAT. A Broken Bar. Meanwhile, back in the Sunagakure village's desert, things were far more serious. Orochimaru, Guren, and the Sound Force stood in a circle. 6 bodies lay between them. One of them, the fourth Kazekage, Raza. Barely clinging to life, Raza weakly raised his head. "Why a Broken Bar?" Orochimaru's long, snake-like tongue flicked out, licking his lips as he answered in a hoarse voice, "I've always been after the life of the third Hokage." "Your only interest was personal gain." "Our goals were never the same. I merely needed to use the power of Sunagakure." "Now that the village's forces have been deployed, your continued existence would be a hindrance." Raza tried to rise but collapsed. "I won't let you." Before he could finish, a red crystal spike pierced his heart. Guren coldly declared, "No one can stand in Lord Orochimaru's way." Guren, a Kunoichi with the crystal release Kekai Genkai, could form red crystals to create weapons or crystallize enemies and shatter them like glass. One of Orochimaru's candidates for a new body, her greatest desire was to merge with him. Another tragic soul kidnapped and brainwashed by the Snake Sanin. If this were a video game, an achievement notification would probably pop up. "Congratulations to Team Orochimaru for killing the fourth Kazekage." Orochimaru, fourth Kazekage skin unlocked. After taking some samples of Rasa's hair and tissue, a large white bird circled overhead before swooping down. Sei jumped off its back and greeted Orochimaru with a smile. "Orochimaru-senpai, I've brought a message from Danzo-sama." He handed Orochimaru a scroll. "Oh?" "Danzo's messenger?" Orochimaru smiled, but suddenly flung a kunai at Sei, who exploded into a pool of ink. The scroll dropping to the ground. Guren carefully picked it up, inspected it for traps, and then handed it to Okimaru. Okimaru opened the scroll, and he looked off into the distance. It's rather impolite to use a clone for communication. From a hidden bunker, the real Sei emerged, still smiling. I had to be cautious, considering I'm dealing with the legendary Okimaru. Lose that fake smile, Okimaru said coldly as he read the scroll. His smile slowly widened into a smirk. Interesting. Optimizing the village's barrier system to this degree, a broken bar as expected from the Uzumaki clan. He then added, and Tsunade has returned a broken bar. It's been a while. Chapter 93. Calm before the storm. After reading the information, Okimaru extends his tongue, rolling up the scroll before swallowing it. He licks the corner of his mouth, casting a dangerous look at Sei, who regains his usual expressionless face. Is there anything else? Okimaru asks with a sly smile. Sei's face remains unchanged, his training as a root operative apparent. His voice is flat and devoid of emotion as he replies, Danzo-sama has ordered me to follow your instructions for the time being and to cooperate with your actions. Okimaru doesn't believe a word of it. Cooperate with me? It's more like keeping me under surveillance. He'll probably try to have this kid kill me the moment our business is finished. But it doesn't matter to him. He has dealt with such deceptions before. Gesturing to the fallen Kazekage guards on the ground, Okimaru smirks. So, you're going to disguise yourself as one of them? Yes. Sei immediately transforms into one of the Kazekage's guards. Okimaru's 4 sound ninjas each select a guard to mimic as well. Guren, head to the designated location as planned. If you don't hear from me within 3 days, return to the base directly, Okimaru instructs. Understood, Okimaru-sama. Guren departs swiftly. The group, now in disguise, continues toward Konoha without drawing suspicion. Unbeknownst to them, Baki, unaware of this covert infiltration, has already scouted the area beyond Konoha's patrols for their hidden troops. As for how Baki knows the exact patrol range, that's courtesy of Danzo's dark connections. Morning arrives in Konoha, and the villagers step out to go about their daily lives. Everyone is buzzing with excitement for the 3rd round of the Chunin exams, which feels as momentous as the Olympics being hosted in their own village. The list of participants has been announced, and the villagers are proud that Konoha has the highest number of genin making it to the finals. This boosts their sense of security, as it is proof of Konoha's superiority over other villages. They feel their future will be brighter and safer with such skilled shinobi protecting them. Meanwhile, an influx of wealthy merchants, nobles, and tourists swarms into the village, further benefiting Konoha's economy. Business is booming well, except for arms dealers like Tenton's family, who don't quite fit into the general commerce of the village. As visitors spend time in Konoha, they start getting used to the village's quirks. For instance, if you see a group of people sporting police armbands marching with stern expressions, there's no need to panic. That's Konoha's police force, known for its impartiality. They don't arrest the innocent, nor do they let the guilty go free. Or, if you notice their strained attempts at smiling, don't be alarmed. The police force has recently initiated a smile training program, though some members haven't quite mastered it yet. And if you witness a group of shinobi in green jumpsuits sprinting through the streets in strange poses, rest assured, those are Konoha's green beasts, and they are as friendly as they are eccentric. All in all, Konoha is a thriving village, a peaceful and hopeful place. At that moment, in the Hokage's residence, Minato Namikaze is deep in conversation with his son. Minato sets down the newspaper he has been reading and looks at Naruto seriously. Naruto, are you sure you want to go through with this training? Yeah, Dad. I think I'll need it soon, Naruto replies with determination. Minato considers Naruto's upcoming opponents and frowns. I don't object to you trying to control that kind of power, but it comes with risks. Dad, if you're talking about the risk of me losing control of Kuruma's chakra, don't worry. My relationship with the Ninetales is solid. Even if I can't control his chakra perfectly, he'll take it back before anything bad happens. Minato seems reassured. That's true. From what you've told me, Your connection with Kurama is strong. I remember the time you mentioned that chat room thing you have with him, and Kushina still can't believe you managed to hack into something like that with Kushina's chakra. Too bad it can't be shared. Naruto grins confidently. No worries, Dad. If it weren't for my promise to give you a heads up before doing anything with the seal, I'd have already started training. No, we'll do this properly. I will guide you, Kushina declares, her voice filled with pride. No one knows the Nine Tails chakra better than me. Kurama, overhearing this from within Naruto, snorts. Ha! I should be the one guiding him. No one understands my chakra better than me. Kushina shoots back. I was a Jinchuriki. You weren't. Kurama growls. I'm the Nine Tails. You wouldn't even be a Jinchuriki without me. Still, you've never been a Jinchuriki. You wanna start something, woman? Bring it, fuzzball. Humphrey, play. Okay, you two, calm down. Naruto groans. Their constant bickering always gives him a headache. If you're going to argue, do it in your sealed space. Why drag it into the chat room like some rowdy forum thread? Well, since it's decided, let's head somewhere private. Minato places a hand on both Naruto and Kushina's shoulders. In the blink of an eye, three of them appear inside a secluded cave. Naruto and Kushina look around in surprise. Minato, a broken bar, isn't this? Kushina begins. Yes, Minato says, smiling. This is where Naruto was born, remember? Yeah, broken bar. I haven't been back here since that day. Kushina's expression softens with nostalgia, but then, out of nowhere, she punches Naruto on the head. Ouch. Mom, what was that for? Naruto asks, rubbing his sore head. For not coming out sooner when you were born. You caused me so much pain. Kushina huffs, hands on her hips. Ugh. Naruto mutters, completely helpless in this argument. Can't exactly change how I was born. They say a child's birthday is also a reminder of a mother's labor. For Naruto, even though he has no control over his birth, he figures getting hit by his mom every now and then isn't the worst thing. After all, it means she is healthy and full of energy. Minato chuckles, watching his family with a contented smile. He is grateful for the choices that have led him to this moment. Chapter 94, The perfect form. So, are we going to train here next? Naruto quickly shifts the conversation. Minato smiles and replies, that's right. This place is secluded enough, and I've reinforced the barrier. As long as you don't blow up the mountain with a tailed beast bomb, we're good. Kushina, full of energy, chimes in, then let's get started. Wait. Minato suddenly raises a hand, his expression serious. Before that, I have something really important to say. What is it? Naruto and Kushina both look puzzled. I just thought of a cool name for a mum. Let's just start training. Naruto interrupts his father without hesitation. Alright. Kushina agrees with a smile. After all, even if Minato reveals his cool name, only he will remember it. Huh? Minato's face falls, his enthusiasm deflating as he watches Naruto. Kushina have already begun the training. His expression turns somewhat goofy. Scratching his head, he mumbles, well, whatever. I've got other things to do. He turns to leave. Meanwhile, Kushina switches into full teaching mode, speaking seriously to Naruto, even though you've probably figured out some of it already. I still want to explain in detail how to use the Nine Tails chakra. First, you can draw a portion of its chakra through the seal. This filtered chakra can be used directly, and it doesn't change your appearance. Mika like this. Naruto watches as Kushina's chakra spikes, though her appearance remains the same. Inside Kushina's mindscape, the Nine Tails, Kurama, lets out a growl, clearly annoyed. Hey, you, at least warn me before you use my chakra. Kushina blinks, suddenly remembering. Oh, right. Kurama, I'm borrowing your chakra. Say that before you use it. Kurama snaps, his sharp teeth gnashing in frustration. Ignoring the grumbling fox, Kushina continues her explanation to Naruto. The next step is drawing more chakra, which will form a chakra cloak around your body. It'll look like bubbling energy, with a fox-like shape. As it progresses, you'll see changes like longer nails and sharper canines. Big Fox, Kushina calls out. Kuruma's eyes narrow. Big Fox, since when do you call me that? I'm used to Naruto calling you that. Just go with it, Kushina says as she opens the seal's gate. Kuruma grumbles but doesn't budge from his comfortable spot in her mind. Whatever. Naruto watches in awe as a bubbling cloak of chakra envelops Kushina, and a chakra tail sways behind her. She slams her fist into the ground, leaving a crater in the rock. Whoa, super strength? Naruto asks, recognizing the technique. No, Kushina corrects. It's just raw physical power. In this form, your strength and speed increase dramatically. You also have an advanced healing ability. Naruto nods, remembering how he healed from near-fatal injuries, like being pierced by Sasuke's chidori, without leaving a scar. Kushina continues, if you keep pushing, you can increase the number of tails, up to 3. But beyond that, when you reach the 4th tail, something changes. Changes? Naruto latches onto the word. Well, I've never gone that far, Kushina admits sheepishly. The pain when I reached the 4th tail was unbearable, so I stopped and went straight to mastering the perfect form. Kuruma snorts inside the mindscape. That wasn't the perfect form. It wasn't. Of course not. You were forcefully taking my chakra. As you used my chakra, I was draining yours in return. If you used too much, you would have run out of chakra and died. Without my cooperation, it wasn't a true perfect form. Kushina frowns. What? You were holding back on me? You never asked me back then. You just threw chains at me and tried to take my chakra by force, Kuruma says, clearly still irritated. I didn't know you had feelings other than hatred back then, Kushina says, her voice softening. Kuruma grins, sensing victory, and you acted all high and mighty, saying, Kuruma, I'll restrain you like no one else in the world. You thought you were the savior of the world. Ah, stop, don't remind me of that embarrassing stuff. Kushina groans, turning red. That was so cringe, worse than anything Minato has done. Kuruma chuckles, relishing her discomfort. It's funny seeing you like this. Clearing her throat, Kushina regains her composure. Kuruma, for all the times I mistreated you, I sincerely apologize. Will you help me train Naruto? Kuruma looks at her, sighing. You're making it hard for me to stay mad. He raises a giant paw, gesturing for a fist bump. Let's put the past behind us. But don't think this means I'm going easy on you. Kushina smiles and bumps her fist against his. Deal. In that instant, a bond forms between them, and a brilliant chakra cloak, golden with hints of black, surrounds Kushina's body. Naruto stares in awe. She looks even cooler than the female superheroes. Kushina inspects her chakra-clad form and stretches out several large chakra arms. This form enhances everything: her speed, strength, and even lets you use the tailed beast bomb. She demonstrates this by creating a small, dense black orb of chakra, about the size of a baby's fist. This is the smallest form of the tailed beast bomb. It's harder to master than the Rasengan. Naruto feels the immense power radiating from the tiny orb. That thing could level a mountain. This is insane. Any questions? Kushina asks with a smirk, clearly enjoying her demonstration. Naruto gulps, regretting he had asked in the first place. Chapter 95. Peaceful days. How's this power? Why don't you find it yourself? Kushina Uzumaki tossed Naruto into the depths of the cave. Huh? Naruto immediately sensed something was off and quickly tried to stop her. Wait. Dad said I shouldn't go in there, but it was too late. Boom. An explosion echoed, and the second half of Naruto's sentence barely reached Kushina's ears. A broken bar. The tailed beast bomb is in here. Broken bar. The cave shook violently. Naruto reacted quickly, grabbing Kushina and dashing out before the cave collapsed completely. A broken bar. In the Hokage's office, Minato Namikaze stared at his wife and son standing before him, his face full of exasperation. So, you two blew up that mountain? Haha. Broken bar. Kushina laughed awkwardly. Well, we did cause a bit of an explosion, but the mountain's still standing. The cave, thought for broken bar it's gone. If it weren't for Naruto's flying thunder god jutsu, they probably would have had to blow up the entire mountain to escape. What could Minato do? He sighed helplessly and said, "Forget it. Let's find another place to train." The family of three arrived at a massive underground chamber. Minato explained, "This was once a training base for Root, but it's been abandoned. Let's set up a barrier and use this place for training." "All right," Kushina replied and began setting up the barrier with Minato. Naruto, watching them, realized he could help too. After all, he is a master of sealing techniques who had once trapped Jiraiya in a seal made out of a blanket. So, he joined in to assist. Soon, the barrier was complete. Its purpose was to conceal any disturbances and prevent anyone from wandering in by mistake. After all, it wouldn't do to show off their nuclear-level power so casually. Before leaving, Minato gave them one last warning. This time, don't use the tailed beast bomb. Kushina and Naruto both nodded enthusiastically, like chickens pecking at rice, their movements perfectly synchronized, smiling from ear to ear. In the sealed space, Naruto followed Kushina's instructions and opened the door. "All right, let's start, Kurama." "Fine." The Great Nine-Tails grinned at the open door. While he couldn't escape, it felt different knowing Naruto couldn't lock him away completely. As the door opened, Kurama's and Kushina's chakra quietly intertwined. If their family lives long enough, Kurama mused, I'd be willing to stay with them for another 1,000 years. A broken bar. After a full day of training, everything went smoothly, but Naruto was puzzled by Kurama's unusually cooperative attitude. During the training, Naruto even slept on Kurama's back, but the fox didn't seem to mind. Naruto didn't fully understand why, but lying on the back of the Nine-Tails was surprisingly comfortable. In the afternoon, after they finished training, Naruto and Kushina headed home to wash away the sweat and dirt, changed clothes, and then went to Hokage's office to meet Minato, who had just finished work. Together, they went to the hospital to pick up Kimimaro. Minato handled the paperwork downstairs, while Naruto and Kushina headed straight to the ward. Naruto pushed open the door and found the room a bit crowded. The most noticeable people were the three bowl-cut heads, handing flowers to Karen. Despite their goofy appearance, they were surprisingly polite, even remembering to bring flowers for a hospital visit. If only they hadn't given a thumbs up with sparkling teeth after saying hello, Naruto's impression of them might have changed. Karen thanked them politely, placing the flowers on the table, before running to Kushina's side and grabbing her hand. Kimimaro was sitting up in bed, reading a book. When Naruto and Kushina entered, he greeted them with a smile. Haku sat beside the bed, skillfully peeling an apple with his ice ninjutsu, turning something so simple into a graceful act. Naruto watched Haku finish slicing the apple and leaned in to take a bite. The coolness refreshed him, but then Kushina knocked him on the head. Haku smiled, cutting the apple in half. The half Naruto had bitten was handed back to him, while the other half went to Kimimaro. As Naruto munched on the apple, he admired the ice blade dissolving in Haku's hand and asked, "Can you make a sword for me?" "What kind of sword?" Naruto described it roughly. Haku created a long ice sword and, under Naruto's direction, adjusted it. Everyone watched Naruto tinker with the ice sword, not quite sure what he was up to. When Minato finally came in, he found Naruto waving a beautifully crafted ice sword, proudly discussing how it resembled Frostmourne, the legendary weapon. Minato raised 2 fingers, effortlessly stopping the blade before it grazed his hair. Frostmourne. That's an impressive name. I wonder, if we altered the wind element, could we create a Windmourne? A group of 9 people left the hospital together. The bowl-cut trio declined the Namikaze family's dinner invitation, declaring that youth must never slack off and that even night was a time for sweating in training. On the way home, Naruto handed Frostmourne to Konohamaru, whose eyes sparkled with excitement at the sight of the sword, and said casually, "This sword is so powerful, even the 4th Hokage had to stop it." "Go challenge your grandpa before the ice melts. It'll give you strength." Konohamaru grinned wildly, dashing off toward home with Udon and Miki in tow, their eyes filled with envy. Was that okay? Haku, who had created the weapon, hesitated. Isn't this kinda far broken bar dangerous? Naruto didn't seem concerned. It's fine, Haku. That kid's usual pranks are worse than any ice sword. Besides, he's always pulling stunts on Grandpa Third. A little action will do the old man good. Naruto then turned to Minato. Hey, Dad, aren't the police agent Tsunade coming today? They're busy with something. We'll meet up after the Chunin exams in a couple of days. I want to go camping, Naruto said. He never experienced a real camping trip before. He had wanted to camp in the Forest of Death last time, but his teammates didn't agree. Sure, Minato said, smiling. I know just the spot. In fact, I helped create that place. When did you do that? Kushina asked, puzzled. When did you team up with Kurama? Minato explained, and Naruto suddenly understood. It had happened 12 years ago, on the night Naruto was born. The Nine Tails had wanted to celebrate with fireworks on Hokage Rock, but Minato, enforcing fireworks safety regulations, had moved Kurama's celebration to a distant mountain. The resulting explosion not only carved a massive crater but also uncovered a hidden water vein. After the river was connected, it created a beautiful artificial lake. Here perhaps it should be called Fox Lake. In any case, this scenic 5A level spot near Konoha had mountains, rivers, and breathtaking views. If they promoted it, it could be packed during Golden Week. With no objections from anyone, Naruto enthusiastically agreed. Alright, let's go. With the Chunin exams only 2 days away, Naruto suddenly thought peaceful days are short. What is Orochimaru planning? Chapter 96. The real showdown begins. Today is the day when the third round of the joint Chunin exam officially began. As Hokage, Minato had to oversee everything, including receiving important guests, such as the fourth Kazekage. Though Minato suspected he might be an imposter, possibly Orochimaru in disguise. Despite both Minato and Kushina having sensory ninjutsu, they couldn't confirm whether it was truly Orochimaru. The rogue ninja may have altered his chakra over time due to frequent body changes. Kushina needed to visit the barrier team to ensure all security measures were in place, and then she would head to the arena to watch the matches. After 2 days of rest, Kimimaro had nearly recovered from his training. Following the patrol route laid out by Minato, he teamed up with his 3 comrades from the Guren squad to patrol the village. The team Guren was well known, regularly passing through various parts of Konoha. They blended in with the daily bustle, making them one of the least conspicuous patrols. Meanwhile, Haku and Karen stayed at home. Though both planned to continue their careers as shinobi, Haku had yet to officially join Konoha's ninja forces, and Karen still needed to work on her fundamentals. With the possibility of conflict in Konoha, it was safer for them to remain at home. Besides, once the seals around their house were activated, it offered protection equivalent to the village's shelters. Of course, Naruto is set to compete in the exams. He created 4 shadow clones to spread out across Konoha, planning to handle communication duties. Though Minato may have arranged for the Yamanaka clan to manage communication, Naruto wanted to be prepared. After all, wasting a bit of chakra wasn't a big deal. The Land of Wind, a nominal ally of the Land of Fire, had also sent important dignitaries to observe the exams. Since Naruto arrived early at the stadium, the audience stands were still mostly empty. The arena resembled the kind of battlegrounds seen in competitive mobile games, where only the strongest survived. In the waiting area, only Genma Shiranui was present, chewing on his ever-present senbon, looking as calm as usual. Genma-san, are you the head proctor today? Naruto asked. Naruto, you're early and yes, I'm the proctor today. Don't expect me to go easy on you, Genma replied, the senbon in his mouth twitching slightly as he spoke, almost as if it might fall. That's fine. But tell me, do you really not have a sister named Mai Shiranui? Genma Shiranui, one of the Hokage's personal guards, was someone Naruto had grown familiar with over time. Along with Raido and Iwashi, They were part of the elite squad capable of using the Flying Thunder God formation, an adaptation of Minato's Flying Thunder God jutsu, albeit one that required a team effort. You've asked me that 100 times, and no, I don't have a sister, let alone someone named Mai Shiranui, Genma replied, though he made a mental note that it wasn't a bad name if he ever had a daughter in the future. Compared to Naruto's name, it seemed more grounded. The day before yesterday, Hiruzen Sarutobi, who had failed his attempt to wield Frostmourne, said, "You're too naive, where's Hi-8?" "I didn't get a chance to settle things with him after our last encounter," Naruto asked, recalling the coughing proctor from previous exams. "He's been assigned another task," Genma explained. "Can't have someone coughing through the whole exam, or it wouldn't look good for Konoha's reputation." After some light banter with Genma, Naruto finally spotted his first teammate arriving. "Shikamaru, what are you doing here so early?" "Where's Choji?" "Choji ate so much last night that he ended up with a stomachache." "He's in the hospital now," Shikamaru sighed. Shikamaru had calculated his timing perfectly that morning, planning to laze around at home. But after a scolding from his mother and some complaints about the Nara clan's laid-back attitude, he figured it was better to leave the house early to avoid further nagging. Typical Choji, Naruto chuckled. He could already imagine how Kiba would react upon hearing that Choji missed the finals because of overeating. One by one, the other participants and spectators arrived. In the stands, Hinata sat with Hiyoshi, Hisashi, and Hanabi. The rest of their friends who didn't make it to the finals were also scattered throughout the audience. At this point, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, dressed in a ceremonial robe picked out by his wife, stood behind Minato. Though he had passed the title of Hokage to Minato, Hiruzen still made public appearances during important events. As the fourth Kazekage took his seat, Minato greeted him. "It's an honor to have you here, Kazekage-sama. I hope your journey went well." The Kazekage briefly glanced at Minato, then shifted his gaze to the third Hokage. "It's been a long time, Lord Fourth, and I see the third is still in good health. Though I've aged, it brings me joy to see Konoha's future generations flourish," Hiruzen replied, thinking the Kazekage's words were just polite formalities. He glanced down at the arena, where the Konoha candidates dominated the roster, reassured that his decision to entrust the village to Minato was the right one. As the crowd settled, Minato stepped forward and announced in a clear voice, "Thank you all for attending the joint Chunin exams. The third round of the exam will now officially begin." A roar of cheers erupted from the stands. Genma stood before the 8 remaining participants, reading from a sheet of paper. Dosu and Zuka from the Sound Village are disqualified for not showing up. Choji Akimiki from Konoha is absent due to illness, so the matchups have been adjusted. Please confirm your opponents. Naruto glanced at the updated list. Sasuke vs Rock Lee in the first match, Neji vs Kankuro in the second, Naruto vs Gaara in the third, and Shikamaru vs Shino in the fourth. After the participants had taken note of the changes, Genma announced, "Yukihu Sasuke and Rock Lee, please remain on the field. The rest of you, head to the waiting area." As Naruto made his way off the field, he glanced up at the sky. It was a clear, sunny day. He looked over at Sasuke, who wore his usual serious expression. Naruto couldn't help but wonder if Sasuke would be able to handle Lee's speed and power. "Don't underestimate your opponent, Sasuke. Be careful," Naruto called out, offering a friendly reminder. Chapter 97. Rock Lee vs Sasuke Uchiha. "One I won't lose to this guy." When Sasuke laid eyes on the green jumpsuit, bowl-cut ninja, he was reminded of the 3 lesser-known Uchiha. Though he was furious, he had to admit that these odd-looking shinobi were quite formidable. If Naruto were here, he'd probably sum it up by saying, "That green jumpsuit freaks are terrifying." Sasuke would never underestimate this thick-browed opponent. Rock Lee stood tall and said earnestly, "Sasuke Uchiha, my seniors, Gen, Deki, and Jiro, are also from the Uchiha clan. I hope you won't tarnish their names." "You bastard, It's because of them that I've been humiliated. Sasuke snarled, clenching his teeth. He swore on the Uchiha name that he would win this battle. Sasuke knew his brother was watching. As he entered the arena, he scanned the crowd, confident he could spot Itachi in his Anbu gear. No mask or cloak could conceal him from Sasuke's sharp eyes. Genma raised his hand and announced, "The first match of the Chunin exams, Sasuke Uchiha vs. Rock Lee. Begin." Leaf Whirlwind. Lee started with his signature move. It was a test of strength. If you couldn't handle it, you were done for. If you could, then you deserved his respect. "He's fast," Sasuke muttered to himself, impressed but not overwhelmed. He had seen this move before and had copied it using his Sharingan. Naruto loved to use it in their sparring matches, but Sasuke found it didn't suit his fighting style, so he hadn't practiced it much. Recalling his fights with Naruto, Sasuke opted to dodge and hurled 3 shurikens at Lee. Lee dodged the shuriken with ease and charged forward, hands on the ground as he launched an upward kick towards Sasuke's chin. Sasuke blocked with both arms, stepped back, and countered with a sweeping kick. Lee leapt into the air, flipped, and aimed a sharp kick at Sasuke, who sidestepped the blow, leaving Lee's foot to create a small crater in the ground. The two traded a flurry of blows. 20-30 moves passed. Just as Sasuke was about to smirk, Lee suddenly stopped and glanced up at Gai-sensei, who stood watching from the high platform. Gai flashed his trademark grin and gave Lee a thumbs up. "I approve, Lee. You can take them off." "Yes, Gai-sensei." Lee squatted down and removed the weights from his legs, gently placing them on the ground. Sasuke, in a rare show of honor, didn't seize the opportunity for a sneak attack. His pride wouldn't allow it. He thought to himself, weights? Even with those, he was that fast? I can't underestimate him now. Lee rose with one hand behind his back, the other outstretched. "Sasuke-kun, prepare yourself to witness my real speed." In an instant, Lee vanished from sight. "Nani?" Sasuke immediately activated his Sharingan and barely managed to tilt his head in time to avoid Lee's punch. The force of the wind from Lee's fist ruffled his hair. Sasuke's eyes widened, his mind racing. "I won't let him mess up my reputation in front of brother." Lee appeared at Sasuke's side, delivering a powerful sidekick. Sasuke blocked it with his forearms, skidding backwards from the impact. He winced slightly but then smirked. "I can see you now." Dodging a few more of Lee's attacks, Sasuke's confidence grew. "You're fast, but not fast enough. With these eyes, I can see all your movements." Up in the stands, Naruto slapped his forehead. "That idiot. Is he seriously getting cocky right now? He should hit him with some ninjutsu before Lee gets serious." Lee paused, realizing the situation. "So, it's the same Sharingan as Gen, Deki, and Jiro?" "This won't be easy then." "Guess I'll have to use it." 8 gates, the gate of opening. Open. The gate of healing. Open. At the same time, Sasuke seemed to remember he knew ninjutsu, forming hand seals rapidly. Fire release, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Sasuke unleashed a dozen small fireballs, strategically aimed to give Lee no room to dodge. "Just one hit, and then I'll have him." But to Sasuke's shock, Lee's speed increased, allowing him to weave through the fireballs effortlessly and charge straight at Sasuke again. A fist loomed large in Sasuke's vision, the Sharingan's dynamic sight slowing it down just enough. "Move." Sasuke's body crackled with lightning, and in a split second, he activated the Chidori-enhanced reflexes, narrowly dodging the blow. Now both fighters were in full flow, trading punches and kicks at blinding speeds. Sasuke could keep up with Lee's pace but knew he couldn't match his raw power. "I can't win this with taijutsu alone." And at his speed, most ninjutsu won't hit him. Even Chidori might not be enough. Suddenly, Sasuke had an idea. "What about genjutsu?" He locked eyes with Lee, attempting to trap him in an illusion. Lee's body wavered, his eyes drooping as he fought against the urge to fall asleep. Yet, his body moved on instinct, still attacking. Sasuke was stunned. What is this? Is he still fighting in his sleep? Finally, Sasuke found an opening and delivered a solid kick to Lee's abdomen, sending him flying back. Lee recovered quickly, standing up with a hand on his stomach. Genjutsu. I let my guard down, Lee muttered, recalling Gai Sensei's advice to avoid looking into a Sharingan user's eyes. Sasuke was filled with regret. Why didn't I learn more powerful genjutsu from Itachi? Since illusions weren't effective, Sasuke thought back to Naruto's advice about overwhelming opponents with ninjutsu. Without hesitation, he formed seals and unleashed his largest fire-style attack yet. Fire release. Great Fire Annihilation. A massive wave of flames erupted from Sasuke's mouth, spreading across the arena like an inferno. The crowd gasped in awe. Even those who couldn't follow the earlier taijutsu exchange could appreciate the grandeur of Sasuke's jutsu. But would Lee survive such an attack? Then, a voice rang out from within the flames. 8 gates. The gate of life. Open. The gate of pain. Open. Lee's chakra exploded. Pushing the flames aside, he stood, enveloped in energy, his eyes filled with determination. The Lotus of Konoha blooms here. Chapter 98, 98. Rock Lee vs. Sasuke Uchiha. 2. Thank you, Dark Lord Angelus and Asbad 7976, for becoming an elite member on Patreon. Shout out to you. Enjoy. Naruto was pleased with Sasuke's performance. Though the scale of the fire release isn't on Madara's level, it's still strong enough to roast a layer of skin if used on the one-tailed Shukaku. As the flames dissipated, a figure stood in the center. Rock Lee, arms crossed in front of him, hair spiked, skin reddened, and his clothes tattered. In the stands, Kakashi looked at Gai in shock. You actually taught him that technique? Gai grinned proudly. Lee and I are similar, but his perseverance surpasses even that of stone, iron, and steel. You're insane. Kakashi rubbed his forehead, revealing his Sharingan to observe Lee closely. How many gates can he open? The 5th gate. Lee is my most prized student, Guy said with a thumbs up. But don't worry, Lee won't use the 5th gate recklessly against comrades. Sasuke was startled at the sight of Lee. Is he cooked? No, his Sharingan could see the chakra surging through Lee, intense and erratic. What is this? This technique was meant to defeat Neji. Sasuke-kun, you're strong, but I want to win. Lee's foot struck the ground, shattering it as he charged towards Sasuke. Sasuke immediately recognized Lee's speed was beyond his own. Using the fastest seals he'd learned in 12 years, he created a dozen clones to scatter. Lee struck a clone, only for it to disappear. A clone technique? Even my eyesight can't tell the difference, but if I'd break them a broken bar. Lee moved like an afterimage, smashing through Sasuke's clones, but none were the real ones. What is this? Sasuke's voice echoed around Lee. It's my body flicker technique. None of these are real. Or maybe they all are. Isn't this Shizui's signature move? Kazekage commented, glancing at Shizui behind Minato. Exactly, Shizui replied, while Minato did not object. Sasuke's talent is remarkable. Kazekage watched Sasuke with admiration. Such talent a broken by Uchiha Sasuke. I'll have to find an opportunity to bring him under my wing, or maybe his body. In the arena, Lee continued his assault, but he couldn't catch Sasuke. Despite his speed, Sasuke's strategy was making Lee desperate. Sasuke, for his part, is genuinely frightened. Even with the Sharingan, he could barely track Lee's movements, and his body couldn't keep up. If his real position were exposed, one punch from Lee would be the end of him. But Lee's body had reached the limit. Opening the 4th gate had torn his muscles, and the strain on his bones was immense. Sasuke noticed Lee's movements becoming sluggish. When Lee's fist passed through another clone, Sasuke suddenly appeared, grabbing Lee's wrist with his left hand. He hadn't anticipated the sheer force behind Lee's movements. Sasuke barely managed to stay standing and immediately struck Lee in the face with his right fist. At the same time, Lee's knee smashed into Sasuke's abdomen. Lee collapsed to the ground, the violent chakra dissipating. His hair and skin returned to normal as he struggled to stand. Sasuke was thrown back, coughing up blood, but he managed to rise first, breathing heavily as he held a kunai to Lee's neck. Lee's eyes dimmed as he said, "I lost." "The winner, Sasuke Uchiha," Genma announced, and the crowd erupted in applause. Sasuke sheathed his kunai and extended a hand to Lee, who looked up at him, his eyes dull. "Rock Lee, you're incredibly strong." "If you had gone all out in that last attack." Sasuke trailed off. He knew Lee had been at his limit, and if the final blow had been at full power, Sasuke wouldn't be standing. "Next time we meet, I'll be even stronger." Lee grasped Sasuke's hand and stood. "Me too." Sasuke helped him to the stands, stopping the medics. He waved to Sakura in the audience, trusting her medical ninjutsu more than the team's. The medical staff recognized Sakura as a disciple of Tsunade and allowed her to assist. After examining them, she said, "Sasuke's injuries aren't serious. Just a few days of rest. But Lee has torn muscles and a small fracture. He should go to the hospital for proper treatment." Lee was placed on a stretcher, his spirits low as he passed by Guy. "I'm sorry, Gai-sensei, for letting you down." "That's right, Lee. To punish you for losing to Kakashi's student, run 500 laps around the training field," Gai declared dramatically. "But, Lee, youth is defined by failure and tears. Never let a single defeat stop you." "Oh, Gai-sensei." Lee, reinvigorated, tried to jump off the stretcher, but the medics pushed him back down. "Stop messing around, you idiot." One of the medics snapped at Guy. "If you're his teacher, let him rest properly." "Huh?" Gai blinked, stunned as if someone had unplugged his power. He then bowed deeply. "I'm so sorry." He gave Lee a thumbs up. "In that case, Lee, your punishment can wait until you've recovered." "Yes, Gai-sensei." Lee was carried away obediently. "The next match is Hyuga Neji vs. Kankuro." Genma called out. "Competitors, please enter the arena." In the stands, Sakura and Sasuke joined Naruto. "Sasuke, are you alright?" Naruto asked. Sakura frowned. "He should rest. Buta, I can teleport you with my flying thunder god," Naruto offered, placing his hand on Sasuke's shoulder. "No need." "This is nothing." Sasuke shrugged him off. He didn't want to miss Naruto's match over something so minor. Naruto rolled his eyes, prepared to force Sasuke to rest, when Kankuro's voice interrupted him. "I forfeit." "What?" The crowd erupted. Was the sand ninja backing out? Kankuro, adjusting the puppet on his back, muttered to himself, "I don't want to reveal too much before the plan starts." TCH, Neji clicked his tongue in frustration as he slapped the railing, clearly dissatisfied. Shino, standing a few meters away from Kankuro, perked up. "Plan?" His sunglasses glinted with a knowing light. Chapter 99. Naruto Uzumaki vs. Gaara, 1. There were boos from the audience, but Kankuro didn't flinch. The exam, or whatever it was, didn't matter to him at all. TCH, Genma sighed before announcing, "Kankuro has forfeited." The winner by default is Hyuga Neji. The next match, Naruto Uzumaki vs. Gaara. "Sorry about this." Naruto scratched his head. Sasuke was still hurt, and a fight could break out at any moment. He didn't have time to explain, but he really should have given them a heads up. "Sakura, keep an eye on Sasuke. You two stick with Kakashi-sensei, there could be trouble soon." At this point, even Sakura was more battle-ready. Worst case, a fight breaks out, and they'll just get out of there. Naruto gave some quick instructions and left, leaving Sasuke and Sakura looking a bit lost. The crowd quieted down as the match was about to begin. Many had come specifically to see this battle, even though Naruto, the son of the fourth Hokage, and Gaara, the son of the Kazekage, didn't fully represent their villages. The outcome between them would be enough to influence people's opinions about the two villages' strength. Naruto caught a broken bar in the stands. Hinata clasped her hands together and silently cheered for Naruto. Her face turned red as she suddenly recalled something. Hanabi glanced at her sister, feeling a bit exasperated. Unless Naruto was taken down by that gourd baby, it seemed Hinata's feelings would remain hopeless. Gaara descended the stairs, saying nothing. His killing intent was palpable, and the cruel smile on his face grew wider. He had learned some things about Naruto, the son of the fourth Hokage, strong in his own right. Mother will like his blood, Gaara thought. Kankuro watched Gaara nervously, praying he wouldn't lose control. If Kimimaro were here, he would probably mock Hima being afraid of his younger brother. "You're the most pathetic older brother," he would say. Naruto walked down the opposite stairs slowly, conversing with Kurama as he went. "Hey, Big Fox, do you think Shukaku has noticed you?" "Him? TCH, not a chance," Kurama scoffed. "His sensory abilities can't be that bad, right?" Naruto asked, surprised that Shukaku couldn't sense Kurama at such a short distance. "It's not his sensory skills, our sealing technique is just that advanced," Kurama replied with pride. The Ninetales felt a surge of smugness. Shukaku's half-baked seal was barely holding up, while Naruto's seal was rock solid, fully controlling him. Kurama couldn't help but feel a bit melancholic. Over the years, Naruto's inner world had transformed into lush mountains and grasslands, a testament to how strong their bond had grown. Yet Kurama was conflicted. Should a tailed beast feel proud that its seal was so effective? And why did he say our sealing technique, anyway? Naruto, thinking little of it, asked, "Do you want to say hello to him?" "Not now. Let him have his fun for a bit. Then I'll give him a nice surprise," Kurama said, recalling the old stories Naruto used to tell him. As they both entered the arena, Gaara's gaze sharpened, and the smile on his face twisted even further. Naruto sighed, thinking, this guy looks cool but might be suffering from chronic insomnia. After this battle, will he turn into the caring guy we see in Shippuden? Naruto wondered, or would it take something like Izanami or Koto Matsukami to change him completely? But then again, those techniques don't seem like a part of Gaara's toolkit. Seeing the two combatants take their positions, Genma raised his arm. "Begin." As soon as the words left his mouth, the cork on Gaara's gourd shot out, hitting the ground with a thud. Sand began pouring from the gourd, seeping into the ground, preparing to create a desert-like battlefield on Gaara's home turf. Naruto frowned, not about to let this environmental damage slide. He pulled 3 special kunai from his pouch and tossed them. It was his way of saying hello to this eco-terrorist. 1 kunai flew directly toward Gaara, while the other 2 angled toward his flanks. Gaara remained unmoving as the sand automatically rose to block the middle kunai. Naruto couldn't help but compare the feeling to fighting an Elden Ring boss. He grabbed the kunai midair and with his left hand, threw it backwards to set a return point. His right hand formed a Rasengan and thrust it into the sand wall. The sand exploded outward from the impact, some splashing onto Gaara's face. Gaara was surprised by Naruto's speed. Still, he stood firm, crossing his arms while controlling the sand to surge toward Naruto. But Naruto was already on Gaara's left side. One hand threw a kunai into the ground, while his other fist smashed into Gaara's cheek. His sand shield didn't react to the kunai and was too slow to block the punch. Meanwhile, the kunai Naruto had thrown to Gaara's right had already flown behind him. Naruto dodged, using the kunai to pivot and swept a kick at the back of Gaara's head. Gaara's sand reacted too late, but it came crashing down on Naruto right after. Without hesitation, Naruto teleported back to the kunai he'd thrown earlier. He thought, my moves were good, but I didn't deal any real damage. I probably shouldn't have used Rasengan right away. There's no time to build another one now. Up in the stands, Kankuro and Temari were shocked. He's so fast. Gaara's been hurt. The regular audience could only see flashes of golden light. Then Gaara lowered his head, revealing cracks in his face as his sand armor crumbled to the ground. Those who knew a little about ninjutsu were stunned, admiring Naruto's speed and technique. But the ones truly in the know were in disbelief. Golden hair, flying thunder god, Rasengan, a broken bar. He's the second coming of the Yellow Flash. The Sand Village ninjas began to realize what they were up against. If Konoha was this strong, there might remain the top village for generations. Meanwhile, Konoha's ninjas swelled with pride. The fourth Hokage's legacy had a worthy successor. Orochimaru watched Naruto with interest, licking his lips. This kid could be useful. A broken bar. Maybe I should mark him as a candidate for later. He glanced at the third Hokage, whose old face was lit up with a smile. Orochimaru thought, let's settle this for now. I'll distract him just long enough. Gaara touched his cheek, not feeling any pain. This only excited him more. Covering his eyes with one hand, he chuckled darkly. Hey, a broken bar. Hey, a broken bar. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Gaara waved his arm, sending a massive wave of sand hurtling toward Naruto. Naruto sighed, realizing he still had to deal with Gaara. He glanced at Genma. From the ref's position, I should be on the right side. A broken bar. Alright, this should be fine. Chapter 100. Naruto Uzumaki vs Gaara. 2. Naruto took a few steps back and quickly completed the hand seals. Water release, exploding water shockwave. A massive tidal wave, wide enough to cover the entire arena and towering over 10 meters, rose in front of Naruto and crashed into Gaara's sand wave, completely overwhelming it. After all, the water was several times higher than Gaara's sand. It was like an adult bullying a child. Naruto was now planning to learn the first-hand technique from Kisame Hoshigaki, often referred to as the monster of the hidden mist. He started by using the lake's surface to create a battlefield advantage. The scale of Naruto's water release shocked almost everyone present. Kankuro and the others, worried for Gaara, were reminded of the terrified voices of the unlucky grass village ninjas back in the forest of death. Do you call this thing a water release jutsu? It wasn't good. The attack signal hadn't been given yet. If Gaara went berserk now, it could ruin everything. Even the Leaf Genin, who knew Naruto well, was stunned by the size of the waves. They had heard he was skilled in water release, but this was over the top. Had he made a summoning contract with the sea itself? The audience, unaware of the truth, was equally incredulous. They thought the Uchiha Kid's fire release was terrifying, but this was on another level. Especially the senior genin from other villages. They felt embarrassed. Were Konoha's genin standards this high now? Should they all go back to the academy? The enormous wave finally crashed down, and Gaara's sand had no effect beyond muddying the water. After the turbulent waters calmed, the arena had transformed into a lake, and Gaara had disappeared beneath the surface. Genma, the referee, had already retreated to the wall. The senbon in his mouth twitched as he muttered to himself, is Naruto attacking the referee? Damn, I should penalize him. Minato and the third Hokage looked at the terrified audience in the front row from the high platform. They were relieved that the seats were elevated from the arena. Naruto's gone too far. What powerful chakra! It's as expected, considering who his mother is, said the Kazekage, admiring the red-haired figure in the distance. Meanwhile, Kushina was laughing and slapping Kakashi on the back. That's it. Great job, Naruto. That's how you use ninjutsu. Hit him hard. Kakashi winced in pain from her enthusiastic backslap, his masked face betraying his helplessness. He thought to himself, ninjutsu really shouldn't be used like this. Asuma's cigarette had fallen from his mouth, his thoughts mirroring Kakashi's. Meanwhile, Gai, who had just returned after seeing Leof, was deep in thought. Suddenly, he clapped his hands together in realization. So that's it. He's the fourth Hokage's son. Kakashi rolled his eyes at his best friend. You've met him so many times, Gai. In the arena, Naruto opened his mini-map through sensory ninjutsu and realized Gaara hadn't moved. He was still at the bottom of the water. Looking up, Naruto noticed an eye floating in the air, staring right at him. It was Gaara's sand eye, a scouting ninjutsu that transmitted visual information directly to his brain. Though the sight was unnerving, Naruto's first thought was how badly he wanted to learn that trick. Naruto resisted the urge to use the transformation jutsu to mess with Gaara and lift his spirits, so it would be too risky with so many people around, and he might get himself killed if they found out. In the end, Naruto sent a shadow clone to investigate. As for why he didn't use water, well, he was used to it. Fortunately, he had dispatched the more mischievous clones as scouts. The kunai thrown earlier had already been washed away by the water, leaving the clone to dive down. 10 seconds later, the clone's memory returned, There was a sphere at the bottom, like an eggshell. When the clone tried to break it open, spikes shot out and destroyed him. Is this thing waterproof? Naruto wondered. He regretted not knowing techniques like Kisame's water shark bombs or the 5 feeding shark for underwater combat. There was still time to learn that jutsu where he could always drag Sasuke along to track down Kisame later. Before Naruto could decide on his next move, a splash broke the surface of the water. Gaara emerged, half his face covered in sand, transforming into the one tail. His eyes were like copper coins, and one of his arms had turned into a massive sand appendage. Naruto stared curiously. Is this the first stage of his transformation? Why doesn't the sand arm absorb water? Gaara's voice came out cold and sinister. You're strong, you're worth killing, and when I kill you, I'll finally feel alive. With that, Gaara's sand arm lunged at Naruto. Though the audience didn't fully understand the situation, they felt something big was about to go down. They focused intensely on the fight. But Naruto was struggling to stay awake. His eyelids drooped, and soon, one by one, the audience members began falling asleep under Gaara's genjutsu. The elite ninja snapped out of it quickly, like Neji and Hiashi, who shielded Hinata and Hanabi, using their Byakugan to survey the area. Anbu, led by Itachi, sprang into action, engaging the sound and sand ninja who had suddenly appeared to attack. Gai and Asuma also joined the fray, while Kakashi protected Sasuke and Sakura, blocking enemy attacks one by one. Sasuke and Sakura stared at the chaos, unable to process what was happening. Was this the change Naruto had warned them about? A sound ninja snuck past Kakashi, rushing towards Sasuke and Sakura. He thought to himself, a weak, injured girl? One hit should be enough. Before he could finish the thought, he was embedded in the ground. Sakura rubbed her wrist. Don't underestimate me. Inner Sakura, Shanaro. Finally, it's my turn to protect Sasuke. Kushina rushed over to Minato, relaying news from the village's east, west, and north gates, brought to her by Naruto's shadow clones. Large serpent-like summoning beasts have appeared in all 3 directions, along with dozens of sand ninjas attacking the village. There was no news from the south yet, but Naruto knew Izumo and Kotetsu were on guard duty that day. Minato stood up abruptly, but before he could speak, the third Hokage, unaware of the unfolding plot, turned in shock toward the Kazekage. Kazekage. You. Now. Seizing the moment of distraction, the Kazekage grabbed the third Hokage and leapt to the roof. 4 of his 5 guards reverted to their true forms of the Sound Four and erected the 4 violet flames formation. The last one followed closely behind. The plan to destroy Konoha had officially begun. Chapter 101. 101. Shukaku. Come out and get beaten. Naruto dodged Gaara's attack and instantly used the Flying Thunder God Jutsu to teleport near Kushina and Minato, assisting his family with the marked kunai. Such a quick response was second nature to him. Dad? Naruto called out without hesitation. Shadow Guard, assist the Anbu in clearing out the enemies in the arena. Minato commanded. Yes. The shinobi behind Minato dispersed swiftly. Naruto, follow the plan. First, evacuate all the spectators, Minato instructed rapidly. Your mother and I will handle the enemy. You're responsible for luring Gaara out of the village. Although we can handle him, it's too dangerous if Shukaku goes on a rampage inside the village. Naruto nodded confidently and patted his chest. No problem. I have a plan to deal with the giant snakes outside the village. You and Mom should focus on protecting the third Hokage. Don't worry, leave it to me, Minato affirmed resolutely. Naruto's clone, along with Naruko and another unnamed clone, received instructions through their link with Kurama, the Nine Tails, and teleported back to their original positions using the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Naruto pricked his finger, drawing a little blood for each clone, and they returned to their positions outside Konoha's eastern, western, and northern walls. Big Fox, I need some chakra support, Naruto requested. Kurama grumbled while sharing his chakra. Such a hassle. Just take care of this quickly, The real fight is with Shukaku. The three clones focused on the giant snakes charging toward the village. After smearing the blood on their fingers, they formed seals. Summoning jutsu, Toad Gamaken, Toad Hiro, and Toad Buntu appeared beneath the clones. Each clone addressed their respective summon. "Please, Gamaken." "Leave it to me," Toad Hiro replied, wielding two large swords. Toad Buntu, smoking his pipe with a short sword at his waist, remarked, "How do I not remember that the fourth Hokage had a son?" The three toads grabbed their weapons and leapt towards the giant snakes, boosting the morale of the Konoha ninja defending the village. "It's Jiraiya-sama and the fourth Hokage's summoning beasts." "But who's that on their heads?" "The fourth son or daughter?" "It doesn't matter. We just need to handle the enemy ninja." "Yeah." The defenders rallied, and their spirits lifted. The Uchiha clan, leading the Konoha police force, coordinated with other ninja units, pushing back the invaders. In the Chunin exam arena, Naruto's commanding voice echoed as he used the multi-shadow clone jutsu. Instantly, hundreds of shadow clones, each with Naruto's signature spiky blonde hair, appeared and rushed toward the audience, with each clone responsible for transporting two people. Using the Flying Thunder God, they evacuated the unconscious spectators to safety. The Uzumaki Logistics Company, known for its efficiency, is now transporting people instead of goods. Perhaps it should be called a passenger transportation company instead. One clone, acting on a request from Hiroshi Hyuga, transported Hinata, Hanabi, and Hisashi back to the Hyuga compound, earning the clone the unofficial title of personal chauffeur. As the head of the Hyuga clan, Hiroshi stayed in the arena to fight, while Hisashi gathered others from their clan to defend the village. The Hyuga clan was deeply grateful to the fourth Hokage for his support. Another clone took Sasuke and Sakura to the hospital and returned with Tsunade and Jiraiya. Neji, however, declined Naruto's offer to evacuate him. "My opponent is still here," he said seriously. Still holding a grudge over Kankuro avoiding their previous fight, Neji was determined to settle the score now that they were enemies. Gaara, meanwhile, was losing control, struggling against Shukaku's influence. Naruto glanced at Temari and Kankuro, who were trying to take Gaara away. "If that's the case, I'll leave his teammates to you and focus on Gaara," Naruto said. He kicked Shikamaru, who was pretending to be under a genjutsu, waking him up. "Don't slack off now. Ask Shino to help." Shikamaru sighed, dusting himself off. How troublesome. A broken bar as Minato, Kushina, Jiraiya, and Tsunade headed to the rooftop battlefield. Naruto, Neji, Shikamaru, and Shino chased after Gaara's team. Maki intercepted them. Temari, Kankuro, take Gaara to the most crowded area in Konoha. Temari and Kankuro quickly carried the struggling Gaara away. Naruto and his team tried to bypass Maki. "Don't underestimate me." Maki threw several shuriken, only for them to be deflected by kunai thrown from the opposite direction. "What?" Maki exclaimed in surprise. "You're Shizui of the body flicker?" Uchiha Shizui, standing alongside Genma, responded, "Never underestimate Konoha's shinobi." "Naruto, go ahead." "Leave this guy to us," Shizui said, his eyes blazing with determination. Naruto gave a thumbs up without looking back. Inwardly, he felt a little sorry for Maki. Not only did he have to face Genma, but now Shizui as well. Maki realized she couldn't afford to take her eyes off Shizui for a moment. Naruto and his team continued chasing the Sand siblings out of the exam arena. Kankuro abruptly stopped. "Temari, take Gaara and keep going. I'll hold them off." He released his puppet, the crow, and chakra strings appeared on his fingers. Neji stepped forward. "He's mine." "You three go on." "Understood." Naruto believed Neji could easily handle Kankuro. He and the others kept pursuing Gaara and Temari. "Don't think you can just leave," Kankuro shouted angrily, his puppet spraying a barrage of poisonous needles. 8 trigrams palms, revolving heaven. Neji countered, spinning rapidly and forming a protective barrier of chakra that deflected all the needles. He then took up a gentle fist stance. "I told you, Your opponent is me. This guy a broken bar, Kankura muttered, preparing his puppet for battle. After a brief chase, Naruto noticed the surrounding area was empty. No civilians were in sight. Water release, water dragon jutsu. The water dragon surged towards Temari, forcing her to stop. Naruto threw a dozen flying thunder god kunai. Temari blocked most of them with her fan, but one landed perfectly. In an instant, Naruto teleported beside Gaara, pressing his head into the ground. I'll take him. You handle her, he shouted. Seriously, a broken bar. Shikamaru sighed, beginning to strategize their next move. Naruto and Gaara teleported to an isolated spot outside the village. Kurama looked around, recognizing the location. Of course, it was familiar. This was the place where Naruto's family had sealed him. Once the barrier was activated, even the third Hokage would be unable to enter for a while. If locked inside, not even the Nine Tails could escape easily. Naruto slammed Gaara's head into the ground, creating a massive crater. Shukaku, come out and get beaten. You bastard. Chapter 102. Gaara's head plunged into the ground, and Shukaku roared in pain as he struggled for control. The tailed beast's chakra surged wildly, causing Gaara's body to further desertify. Naruto should have taken this chance to restrain Gaara with his shadow clone jutsu and bring him back to the village, but Kurama had been waiting to fight Shukaku for so long. Ending it now would have been anticlimactic, and Naruto felt it might strain their budding friendship. In the sealed space, Naruto sat at the top of Kurama's back, patting the big fox. Just this one time, okay? What are you talking about? Kurama asked, puzzled. Letting the enemy complete their transformation is the stupidest thing ever. He's not using some invincibility jutsu or freezing time. It's better to take him down before he's fully ready. HMPH, even if Shukaku is at full power, I could take him down in no time. Kurama scoffed, though he wasn't entirely sure. Transformations in the anime feel long, but they're actually over in a few seconds. Ha 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 ha, I am finally out. Shukaku's voice was sharp and harsh as he emerged fully transformed. Go on, say hello, Kurama nudged. What could Naruto do? He had to start with something flashy. Water release, exploding water shockwave. A massive wave surged forward, but Shukaku, towering dozens of meters high, was unimpressed. The water, several meters deep, barely covered his feet. Still, Naruto managed to catch Shukaku's attention. A pesky little bug. Shukaku swatted down, trying to crush Naruto. I'll show you soon enough that this bug isn't so easy to squash. A broken bar, Naruto muttered. Water release, great waterfall. A giant water column slammed into Shukaku's face. The attack didn't deal much damage but was certainly insulting. Annoying brat. You've angered this beast. Wind release, drilling air bullet. Shukaku bellowed, his voice echoing through the desert as he launched a volley of high-speed air bullets. As a creature of sand, Shukaku despised two things most, water and the Nine Tails, and here was this little brat, mocking him with both. Now he is determined to crush Naruto for good. The barrage of sand and wind struck Naruto like a hailstorm. Dodging and weaving, Naruto was puzzled. Where did he get all this sand from in a desert covered with water? It was disgusting to think about, so he decided to be cautious. Water release, water wall. He summoned a protective barrier of water, then layered two more on top, each thicker than the last. Better safe than sorry, Naruto murmured, hiding behind his triple-layer defense. He considered summoning 10 shadow clones but realized that would be disrespectful to Shukaku. So instead, he turned to Kurama. Hey, Kurama, lend me some chakra. Do it yourself, Kurama replied with a grin, clearly enjoying Shukaku's fury. Naruto grabbed a handful of Kurama's chakra, and his body was instantly cloaked in a thick layer of red chakra bubbles. When all the sand bullets were blocked by his water walls, the sandstorm finally subsided. Naruto leapt out, creating 1,000 shadow clones. In an instant, 1,000 versions of himself, each with fox ears and tails, surrounded Shukaku. Water release, 1,000 water dragons. With a synchronized shout, 1,000 water dragons rose up. Each dragon, empowered by Kurama's chakra, was much larger than usual. They merged in mid-air, forming a massive tidal wave that surged toward Shukaku from all directions. Shukaku looked around in bewilderment. Who am I? Where am I? And what the heck is that? The chakra smelled like the Nine Tails, but why did it feel like facing Isobu, the Three Tails? And why was there so much water? What kind of water jutsu is this supposed to be? Shukaku muttered in Kankuro's voice, bewildered. Despite his confusion, Shukaku wasn't going to stand still. He pounded his belly and unleashed a massive gust of wind in all directions. Wind release, sand bullet. Naruto, watching from within the ceiling space, wondered if he should learn Shukaku's drilling air bullet technique. But then again, the downsized version resembled Danzo's vacuum bullets, and that seemed redundant. The air bullets collided with the water dragons, creating a chaotic storm. But there were too many water dragons for the sand bullets to intercept. The combined force of the water storm crashed into Shukaku, soaking him thoroughly. Stupid fox! Get out here and face me! Shukaku roared in frustration as the water drenched his sandy form. Kurama snickered from within Naruto. Little Tanuki, you've gotten weak over the years, haven't you? Naruto's clones, seeing an opening, formed Raisingans and rushed in. Some clones raised their middle fingers before attacking, while others charged silently. Shukaku thrashed wildly, his claws and tails swatting away countless clones. But each time he struck one down, another would leap onto him, planting Raisingans on his limbs and body. Frustrated, Shukaku roared and unleashed a massive gust of wind, scattering Naruto's remaining clones. Brothers, hit him with everything you've got! Naruto shouted, his voice echoing through the battlefield. The clones complied, swarming Shukaku from all directions. The air was filled with the sound of countless Raisingans colliding with Shukaku's sandy form, leaving craters all over his body. Damn Brata, broken bar, damn fox! Shukaku cursed, desperately trying to shake off the clones. But the damage was done. His chakra was rapidly depleting as he repaired his battered form. Realizing his position was dire, Shukaku gathered his chakra for one last attack. I'll crush you all in one go. Wind release, drilling air bullet barrage. Naruto watched as the giant raccoon gathered chakra in his mouth, forming a massive purple-black sphere. Kurama, still in control of Naruto's body, wasn't phased. He grinned and burst out more tails, the chakra cloak thickening as it reached 5 tails. Let's see who's got the better ball. Kurama roared, gathering his chakra for a tailed beast bomb. The two attacks collided mid-air, creating a massive explosion that rocked the entire area. The shockwave flattened trees and sent water spraying everywhere. For a moment, the entire battlefield was engulfed in a blinding flash of light and a deafening roar. When the dust settled, both Naruto and Shukaku stood panting, the ground around them scorched and cratered. Shukaku had lost a layer of sandy skin and looked worse for wear, while Naruto, now in his six-tailed form, was still raring to go. Had enough, Tanuki? Kurama taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. Shukaku roared in defiance, but before he could launch another attack, he faltered. Gaara, buried deep within, was losing consciousness, his control over Shukaku slipping. Stupid folks, a broken bar, Shukaku growled, his voice fading as his massive form began to crumble. He shrank rapidly, revealing Gaara, unconscious and severely drained, lying in the sand. Well, that was anticlimactic, Kurama muttered, retracting his chakra. All that power and you still went down like a chump. Naruto, back in control, grimaced as the pain hit him. His body was scorched and battered from the intense chakra, but he managed to grin. 4 to 8 tails, a broken bar, never again, he muttered, his voice strained. Kurama huffed, clearly annoyed. You're too weak. Can't even handle full power for long. How am I supposed to have fun? It's not all my fault, Naruto retorted. We just need more practice. He limped over to Gaara, summoning chains of chakra to bind him securely. He wasn't taking any chances. After sealing Gaara's chakra, Naruto heaved a sigh of relief. You'll be fine, Gaara. You just need some rest. He glanced around, making sure there were no threats left, then began the long walk back to the village, carrying Gaara on his back. The battle wasn't over yet, but this skirmish had been a good warm-up. With Shukaku subdued, Naruto was ready to face whatever came next. He just hoped that others were holding their own. There were still battles raging all over the village, and he needed to be there. Naruto hurried back toward the village, his mind focused on the remaining battles. Chapter 103, 103. Saving Third Hokage. Inside the examination room laid a group of defeated shinobi, unable to continue fighting. Among them were Konoha ninjas and shinobi from the other village. The stark difference was that all the Konoha ninjas have Katsu, the slug summon, resting on their backs, continuously healing their injuries. This gave them the advantage of rejoining the battle, a testament to having an exceptional medical nin on their side. Meanwhile, dozens of shinobi continued to clash in the arena. With most of the spectators evacuated due to Naruto's actions, the stands were now nearly empty, a situation the village could hardly explain. The most eye-catching battle was between Baki and Igenma, with Shizui supporting from the shadows. It was only a matter of time before Baki would be overwhelmed. Itachi, an Anbu captain, demonstrated his prowess as well. He refrained from using extravagant fire-release jutsu like Sasuke. Instead, he skillfully utilized each jutsu and shuriken with precision, perfectly synchronized with his Sharingan. He combined intelligence and finesse, making even the smallest jutsu effective. Furthermore, when his opponent wasn't Sasuke, Itachi's hand signs were so fast they were almost imperceptibly. He truly lived up to his reputation of hitting 7 targets in an instant. On another front, Gai and Kakashi teamed up. One is a taijutsu master, the other an all-rounder adept in both offense and defense. Years of rivalry and camaraderie have made their coordination seamless. In this intense fight, Kakashi might have had fleeting thoughts of Kurenai. Overall, Konoha had the upper hand, and there was little concern about the ongoing skirmish in the arena. Naruto couldn't comprehend the scene unfolding inside the barrier atop the roof. The two sides' lineups were as follows: our side, 3rd Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, 4th Hokage, Minato Namake's Kushina Uzumaki, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki Jiraiya, the Toad Sage Tsunade Senju, the Slug Princess. This formidable team had attackers, defenders, assassins, and even healers. Their lineup was so balanced that even if Madara Uchiha were resurrected, he would think twice before challenging them. Opposition: 1st Hokage, Hashirama Senju, 2nd Hokage, Tobirama Senjuraza, the 4th Kazekage Orochimaru, the Snake Sanane Broken Bar and Sei, incapacitated on the ground with 3 of them revived. Through Edo Tensei, the lineup seemed absurd. It was like a team of 4 elite shinobi carrying a rookie. Naruto hadn't left a shadow clone behind, so he was clueless about what transpired while he was away. Fortunately, Kurama, the Nine-Tails, had witnessed everything and narrated the events to him. Despite Kurama's grumbling towards the resurrected Hashirama, Naruto managed to pacify him with his trademark line, "The past is the past, Kurama. Everyone's dead and gone." Kurama then began recounting what had happened after Naruto's departure. Orochimaru had kidnapped the 3rd Hokage and escaped to the roof, ordering the Sound Four to erect the 4 Violet Flames formation, with Sei trailing behind. Confident in his victory, Orochimaru shed his disguise as the Kazekage, reverting to his original form. In the shocked gaze of the 3rd Hokage, Orochimaru shared a twisted reunion between teacher and student, showcasing his pride. The reanimation jutsu. Orochimaru was now using a female body, embodying the sinister Snake Sage. When Orochimaru moved to kill Hiruzen with a sadistic smile, Minato and Kushina burst onto the scene. Orochimaru, caught off guard, saw Minato deflect his kunai and save Hiruzen while Kushina landed a powerful punch on him, sending him sprawling. Naruto fondly thought of naming this combo the Scrambled Egg Set with Tomato, if only it weren't his mother in action. Minato's naming sense has affected him. After regaining his composure, Orochimaru shed his damaged body, emerging anew, and wiped his face with his tongue. The Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Impressive, Minato. You did manage to enter the barrier. But the jutsu requires a mark, doesn't it? Minato held his kunai calmly. You know well, Orochimaru. That's true. Suspiciously glancing at Sai, Orochimaru wondered if Danzo had leaked his plans. But I chose this location on the info. There shouldn't be any marks here. The only possibility is that you marked the old man himself. Hiruzen looked puzzled. Minato, are you implying you knew about Orochimaru's attack in advance? I don't recall being in contact with you recently. When did you mark me? Minato smiled. I don't need direct contact. I only need to leave a mark on your clothing. Clothing? Kushina interjected with a grin. That's right. You don't pick your clothes, do you? Don't tell me a broken bar. Hiruzen recalled Kushina visiting him days ago, asking for ninjutsu lessons. And during the chaos caused by Konohamaru's prank, she was alone with his wife, Biwako, while he changed. Kushina continued, that's when I handed Biwako the marked cloth and asked her to sew it into your clothing's lining. I also asked her to keep it a secret. Minato apologized. I'm sorry for keeping this from you, but we had our reasons. Hiruzen, finally understanding, smiled sadly. Minato must have feared for his life, anticipating Orochimaru's attack. I see. You were worried that I was resigned to dying. Minato countered, I don't care about your past deeds, be they right or wrong. But if you truly believe you were wrong, live and make amends. Don't leave everything to the next generation and give up. What can an old man like me do, other than die here today? Hiruzen lamented. You're a master of ninjutsu. Your knowledge is invaluable. If you could train more exceptional shinobi like Jiraiya-sensei, it would be a tremendous service. If that's the case, then I'll fight for Konoha for the rest of my life. But let's hope there aren't too many more like Jiraiya. Determined, Hiruzen turned to Orochimaru. Orochimaru, I won't let you continue down this path. I will stop you. Orochimaru smirked, his hands flashing through hand signs. Is the chat over? Even with all of you here, you won't be able to stop me. Edo Tenza Reanimation Jutsu Chapter 104, 104. Clash of the Hokages. 1. The third Hokage immediately recognized Orochimaru's use of the impure world reincarnation jutsu and shouted, stop him at once. Minato and Kushina, fully aware of the implications of the impure world reincarnation, rushed toward Orochimaru. As they moved, Minato hurled his special kunai. Sai, Orochimaru commanded, knowing that even if Sai could only buy him a second, he is still a useful tool sent by Danzo. Having been ordered by Danzo to follow Orochimaru's instructions, Sai immediately stepped forward, unrolling his scroll and swiftly moving his brush. Ninja art, Super Beast imitation drawing. Ink beasts surged from the scroll, charging at Minato and Kushina. However, Kushina, cloaked in red chakra, stepped forward and unleashed a flurry of attacks. Under her strikes, the ink beasts shattered into pools of ink. After losing his ink clone, Sai was knocked back, unconscious, as he hit the ground. But the brief distraction had worked. Minato's flying thunder god kunai was now embedded in the coffin of the fourth Kazekage. The coffin lid creaked open, and Hashirama, Tobirama, and Rasa stepped out. What's happening? Rasa asked, looking confused, his last memory being of Orochimaru assassinating him. Is that you, Saru? Hashirama exclaimed with surprise, recognizing the third Hokage. I never expected you to live long enough to look like that. Lord First, Lord Second. The third Hokage gazed at the two former Hokage, momentarily at a loss for words. It seems many years have passed. How is Konoha? Is everything alright? Hashirama asked, glancing at Minato and Kushina's forehead protectors. Ah, you must be from Konoha. That red hair and nine-tails chakra. Are you from Mito's clan? Though the timing wasn't ideal, Minato politely introduced himself. Lord First, Lord Second, I am the fourth Hokage. This is my wife, Kushina, from the Uzumaki clan. The fourth Hokage? You're quite young and accomplished, Hashirama exclaimed. I never imagined the Hokage title would be passed down to a fourth generation. Back when Madara and I founded Konoha enough, brother. Pay attention to the situation. Tobirama interrupted, cutting off his brother's rambling. Huh? Hashirama blinked, looking confused. What is going on? Tobirama crossed his arms and explained calmly, this is my impure world reincarnation jutsu, a forbidden jutsu that summons the souls of the dead from the Pure Land back to the world of the living. Judging by your reactions, you're not the ones who summoned us, which means Tobirama turned toward Orochimaru. You must be the caster. It seems we've been brought here to fight Konoha. Such calm reasoning, are truly the second Hokage, the creator of countless jutsu. Orochimaru praised. Few shinobi in the world could earn his admiration, but Tobirama was undoubtedly one of them. I told you not to dabble in these forbidden techniques, Hashirama scolded his brother. And now, even after death, you're causing trouble for the younger generation. Quiet, brother. It's only because you died too early, Tobirama retorted, scolding his unreliable sibling. You had to fight Madara one-on-one, also drag me and sister-in-law along. Couldn't we have just defeated him together? In the end, both sides suffered, and I was left to clean up your mess. Sorry, Hashirama muttered, lowering his head, defeated. On the other side, Minato scratched his head awkwardly, unsure how to respond to the first Hokage's antics. Even Orochimaru appeared amused, clearly not expecting the legendary god of shinobi to have such a light-hearted personality. Suddenly, a loud noise grabbed everyone's attention. Tsunade, standing outside the barrier, her forehead veins bulging in anger, slammed her fist into the roof, shaking the entire building. She roared, Orochimaru, you bastard! How dare you desecrate the dead? Minato, Jiraiya called out, seeing Tsunade's rage nearing a breaking point. Understood, Minato replied, using the Flying Thunder God to appear outside the barrier and pull both Tsunade and Jiraiya inside. Oh? The Flying Thunder God jutsu, Tobirama said with a hint of pride. You seem to have mastered it better than I did. Upon seeing Tsunade, Hashirama brightened up. Tsunade, you've gotten so old. With that temper of yours, I imagine it's been difficult finding a boyfriend, right? And you're still shut up, Tsunade snapped, her face flushing with anger. Stay in the Pure Land and stop bothering the living. Sorry. Hashirama quickly apologized again, his earlier majesty completely gone. Let's end this, Orochimaru said, driving kunai with talismans into the bodies of Hashirama, Tobirama, and Raza. The three began losing their consciousness, their expressions dulling. With their last words, Hashirama, please stop us, Saru and fourth Hokage. Tobirama, forgive us for the trouble, but I trust you can handle it. Raza, damn it, Orochimaru. Raza was the unluckiest. Just as he understood the situation, he lost control again. His only thought was, why did Konoha's civil strife have to involve me and my village? Curse you, Orochimaru. Why did I ever trust you? Orochimaru, now fully in control, smiled wickedly. Tsunade, if you assist me, I can show you others who have passed away. Tsunade froze, immediately thinking of two people. Enough, Orochimaru, don't make this worse. Jiraiya pleaded, though he knew it was futile. Orochimaru ignored him, continuing, Tsunade, don't you want to see him, or your brother, Nawaki? Tsunade hesitated, her voice softening. Yes, I do want to see them, even if just for a moment. Tsunade, Jiraiya called gently, his voice full of concern. But not like this, Tsunade declared firmly. This village hold their dreams and the people I care about. Her tone hardened. I will never forgive you for desecrating the village and the dead. With those words, Tsunade remembered Dankato and Nawaki's smiling faces, along with the dreams they had fought for. She then glanced at the blonde boy outside the barrier. Heavenly foot of pain. Boom. The roof exploded, leaving a massive hole as tiles and wood rained down. Orochimaru leapt back, narrowly avoiding the blow, as he commanded the three reanimated Hokage to retreat. Sei, still unconscious from Kushina's earlier attack, remained motionless in the corner. Meanwhile, Hashirama clasped his hands together, preparing his next move. Wood release, Deep Forest Emergence. Chapter 105, 105. Clash of the Hokages. The sturdy trees erupted from the ground, with countless trunks and roots growing erratically, shattering tiles and piercing through rooftops. The vegetation not only covered the massive hole that Tsunade had created but also quickly spread around, intertwining and engulfing Konoha. Despite the grave situation, Naruto couldn't help but feel a bit bemused. These roots looked almost like tentacles, conjuring up some less than heroic imagery. A broken bar Minato, with his exceptional reflexes and speed, swiftly evaded the attack and charged forward. Tsunade and Kushina dodged as best they could. When evasion wasn't an option, they simply smashed through the obstacles in their path with brute force. Jiraiya, meanwhile, used a variety of jutsu, such as the Rasengan and Fire Release, Great Fireball Jutsu, to push forward. The situation was most challenging for Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage. At over 70 years old, his physical condition had drastically declined. Despite his vast experience and theoretical knowledge, he hadn't engaged in active combat for a decade, leaving him rusty. Fortunately, Konohamaru's daily pranks had kept him somewhat active. But even so, after a few skirmishes, the third Hokage was ensnared by the tree roots. Tobirama Senju seized the opportunity and lunged at him. Just as his attack was about to strike, Minato reappeared, blocking Tobirama's assault with his kunai infused with the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Summoning Jutsu, Monkey King Enma. Before Minato could assist further, Hiruzen summoned the elderly Enma, who tore through the tree roots in 2 swift moves and remarked, "You've really let yourself go, Sarutobi." "What is this, a Hokage reunion?" Hiruzen didn't offer much of an explanation. His only thought was to stop Orochimaru. "Enough chatter, Enma." Transform into the adamantine staff. Understanding the urgency, Enma transformed into a long staff with a black center and golden ends, flying straight into Hiruzen's grasp. Outside the barrier, Naruto watched as the condensed version of Shinryu Senjutsu descended, feeling relieved that Hashirama's chakra reserves were not fully unleashed. He mused that the knowledge and interference he had brought might have prevented Orochimaru from perfecting the Edo Tensei, impure world reincarnation. After all, if Orochimaru had managed to perfect the technique, both the first and second Hokage might have broken free of his control, which would have likely put Orochimaru in an even worse position. For now, the battlefield didn't seem too overwhelming. Naruto wondered how Aunt Snake, Orochimaru, would plan to escape and if they could prolong her stay with some good hospitality from Konoha. Back on the battlefield, the stalemate didn't last long. Tobirama quickly completed his hand seals, water release, water colliding wave. A massive water surge rose around him, forming a tidal wave aimed directly at Hiruzen. Kushina stepped up, forming the same seals. "I know this one too," she declared, launching her water release, water colliding wave to counter Tobirama's. The 2 waves collided, and though Kushina's was launched later, its intensity overpowered Tobirama's. The clash ended with a diminished wave flowing harmlessly through the gaps in the trees, into the hole Tsunade had created earlier. If Tobirama's consciousness hadn't been suppressed, he might have protested. And poor Raza, the 4th Kazekage, wasn't faring any better. Without prior preparation for gold dust, he found himself in a difficult position, as the forestation added to his woes. Raza initially considered mining gold from beneath the large hole, but Tobirama's water flood ruined that plan. His efforts had only gathered enough gold dust to fill Gaara's gourd, leaving him feeling targeted by all of Konoha. Yet, as an Edo Tensei with no emotions, he could only silently continue panning for gold, preparing for the battle. Orochimaru, however, wasn't idle. He opened his mouth, summoning a snake, which then revealed the legendary Kusanagi sword. This sword was no ordinary blade. Its sharpness could even make Enma, in his adamantine staff form, wary. Moreover, it could be remotely controlled, reacting to even the slightest finger movement. Orochimaru charged into the woods, disappearing before making a sudden beeline toward the 3rd Hokage. Naruto sensed a strange chakra presence beside Orochimaru as he hid in the woods. Kushina, too, sensed it, alerting everyone to be cautious of the forest. While Jiraiya scouted for Raza, Tsunade was busy clashing with her grandfather, Hashirama. During the water clash between Tobirama and Kushina, Minato used the Flying Thunder God Jutsu to appear beside Tobirama, slamming a Rasengan into his chest. For an imperfect Edo Tensei body, Tobirama's durability was nowhere near his original form. The attack disrupted Tobirama's jutsu, sending him flying, but his chest wound quickly began to regenerate. Orochimaru sneered, "These Edo Tensei are practically immortal. No matter the injury, they'll recover, and even if you kill me, the jutsu won't end." "So, what will you do?" Hiruzen swung the staff with resolve. "Orochimaru, it's my responsibility to let you stray this far. Today, I'll correct that mistake." "Acting tough at your age? You'd be better off letting me finish you off." Orochimaru dodged Hiruzen's strike, countering with his sword. Minato, observing Tobirama's rapid recovery, decided, "We can't kill him directly. We have to seal him." Kushina cracked her knuckles with a grin. "Sealing techniques are my specialty." Realizing the danger, Orochimaru weighed his options: either use the Edo Tensei to kill Hiruzen and flee, or retreat now. Minato threw a kunai, aiming at Orochimaru. But the kunai passed through him, as did Hiruzen's staff. Orochimaru vanished into thin air, leaving only the Kusanagi sword behind. An illusion? Minato noted the faint mist in the air, recognizing it as a special type of genjutsu. Emerging from the woods was a middle-aged man with blonde hair and a distinctive mustache. He launched a few water gunshot, which Hiruzen deflected with his staff. Naruto, recognizing the man, shouted, "That's the second Mizukage. His summoning beast is a giant clam, and he uses the Mirage Genjutsu." Naruto surmised that Orochimaru had summoned the Mizukage earlier and kept him hidden, planning to use him as a trump card. Naruto then used the Flying Thunder God Jutsu to stand beside Kushina. Today, Uzumaki Naruto joins the fray too. Chapter 106, 106 Clash of the Hokages. 3 Orochimaru strolled out leisurely, applauding himself. "I see you've got information on the second Mizukage." Impressive. Due to the strict secrecy measures enforced during his reign, even shinobi of the Hidden Mist barely know about their own cage. Orochimaru licked his lips and continued, "Naruto-kun, you've piqued my interest." "Piqued your interest? More like you're eyeing my body," Naruto retorted inwardly. "I never imagined you'd go as far as desecrating the second Mizukage's grave." Naruto shook his head in disbelief. He knew Orochimaru's subordinates weren't as adept as Kabuto at espionage, let alone grave robbing. "I can't believe you managed to find the grave, let alone perform the impure world reincarnation." "You're aware of the conditions for the impure world reincarnation?" Orochimaru's eyes widened. "That's not something a mere genin should know." "I know a lot of things, including how to achieve immortality." "Want to catch me and find out more?" Naruto baited, hoping to buy some time. Fascinating, but Orochimaru's words were abruptly cut off. "Found you." Minato's eyes glowed with orange sage mode markings as he raised his hand. "Sage art, super light wheel Raisen Shuriken." The Raisen Shuriken, enhanced with sage chakra, tore through the illusions of Orochimaru and the second Mizukage, slicing through trees and exploding in midair. The air was filled with countless tiny wind blades. The giant clam, which had been hiding invisibly, finally revealed itself as the Raisen Shuriken shattered its shell, causing it to disperse into smoke. Simultaneously, the illusions of Orochimaru and the second Mizukage vanished. A large eye appeared on the Monkey King Enma's staff as the third Hokage looked puzzled. "What kind of arrow was that?" Naruto walked over and curiously poked the staff. "It's called the Super Light Wheel Raisen Shuriken." Enma's eyes widened. "You even remembered the name?" "Of course. I think Dad chose a pretty cool name this time." Naruto grinned. The third Hokage chuckled. "Like father, like son." Boom, boom. Explosions echoed in the distance as Jiraiya fought Rasa within the barrier. Since the battleground was confined, Rasa couldn't summon his massive gold dust waves as he did against Gaara in the desert. Instead, he resorted to precise attacks and defenses with limited gold dust. From another direction, Tsunade's roars and the sound of wood splintering indicated a fierce battle with Hashirama. Our battle isn't over, Naruto. You must stay vigilant on the battlefield, the third Hokage warned, gripping Enma tightly. I know, Naruto responded, scanning his surroundings for Orochimaru's location. Aside from Hinata-chan, anyone interested in me is definitely up to no good. A broken bar. Wait, is Orochimaru transforming into a beautiful woman? Gross. Better put an end to this pervert's games. It's time to wrap this up, Minato said, and with a flash of the flying thunder god jutsu, he brought Kushina to Tobirama's side, striking him with a Rasengan. When it comes to breaking skulls, no one beats a ninja, and Minato is no exception. Before Tobirama could recover, Kushina pulled out a sealing tag and slapped it onto him. Black markings spread across Tobirama's body, and with a puff of smoke, the disguise faded, revealing the Sound Village ninja sitting underneath. Looks like we're out of time, Orochimaru sneered, seeing Minato and Kushina swiftly subdue the Edo Tensei. He commanded the four Sound Ninja maintaining the barrier, release the barrier and retreat. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. They responded in unison. As the barrier fell, the Sound Four prepared to flee with Orochimaru. Orochimaru, don't think you can escape. The third Hokage charged forward with Enma raised. But Orochimaru smirked and, in a flash, turned and thrust his Kusanagi sword upward. The third Hokage's eyes widened as he felt the blade pierce through his abdomen, blood trickling down. Sarutobi-sensei, third Hokage. Lord Third. Minato, with a grim expression, formed another Rasen Shuriken and hurled it at Orochimaru while calling out, Naruto. On it. Naruto instantly transported the wounded third Hokage to the hospital, landing beside Sakura. Sakura, nay, quick, first aid. Lord Third. Sakura immediately began treating the wound, her hands glowing with healing chakra. What happened? Hang in there for a bit, old man. I'll be right back. Naruto shot off to Tsunade's location, arriving just as she smashed Hashirama with a punch. Naruto bound the regenerating Hashirama with chakra chains and placed a hand on Tsunade's shoulder. Tsunade, nay, come with me. In a flash, they were transported to the hospital ward, the chains securely binding Hashirama. Tsunade, this ice a broken bar. Tsunade quickly assessed the situation. Sakura, I'll take over. Follow my instructions and carefully extract the sword. Yes, Mom. Sakura grasped the sword hilt, steady and focused. Naruto watched anxiously as they carefully removed the blade. The bleeding stopped, and Sandai's condition stabilized. How is he? He'll live, but he needs rest. He's not as young as he used to be. Tsunade wiped her brow and muttered, seriously, why is he still fighting on the front lines? Relieved, Naruto turned to deal with Hashirama, who was still regenerating. Drawing intricate sealing marks over Hashirama's body, Naruto completed the seal, turning the body to dust and revealing the Sound Ninja Teiuya. Isn't this one of the Sound Four? What's going on? Sakura was still puzzled. I'll explain later. For now, take care of the third. Tsunade, nay, let's go. Orochimaru won't get away with this. Returning to the battlefield, they found the Sound Four unconscious, Raza already sealed, with the sacrificial body being Jirobo. Minato, Kushina, and Jiraiya had surrounded Orochimaru and the second Mizukage. Seeing Tsunade approaching, her anger barely contained, Orochimaru wiped the sweat from his forehead. This is truly a broken bar, the worst-case scenario. Chapter 107, 107. Death. Orochimaru died, with his bones rotting away in the soil. The mud in question was created by Jiraiya's earth release, swamp of the underworld, Doton, Yami Numa. Orochimaru's demise occurred after being smashed by Tsunade and overwhelmed by the combined efforts of Konoha's elite. Even he, a legendary Sennin, couldn't withstand the assault led by the fourth Hokage and other powerful shinobi. In truth, Orochimaru had planned to escape, but it was impossible. Minato's body flicker technique, Shunshin no Jutsu, and Flying Thunder God Jutsu, Hiraishin no Jutsu, alone made it difficult for anyone to escape. Moreover, when Kushina activated her Nine-Tails Chakra mode, Kaya by Chakra Ma Ring Do, Her speed surpassed even that of the Raikage. Even if Orochimaru had tried to feign death, hide, or escape, the two Sage Mode users, Jiraiya and Tsunade, would have sensed his presence through their heightened perception. Orochimaru's last resort would have been to summon a giant snake, hide inside its body, and reverse summon himself to Ryachi Cave, waiting for Gurren to use his pre-prepared blood to summon him back to the base. But there was no chance. Whenever he tried to form hand seals, Minato's golden flash would interrupt him. If he fell to the ground, Tsunade was always there, ready to strike with her immense strength. He hoped the reanimated second Mizukage could buy him some time, but the lack of a proper sacrifice weakened the Mizukage's power to the point that he couldn't even use his signature jutsu. The regular water release jutsus he used were no match for Naruto's power, reducing the Mizukage to merely a distraction for Orochimaru. After Orochimaru exhausted himself using his living corpse reincarnation, Fushi Tensei, technique multiple times, he was finished off by a combination attack from Jiraiya and Tsunade. Orochimaru's body was destroyed, leaving behind nothing but a few shredded remains and some snake skins. The history books of the ninja world recorded that on August 6 of the 60th year of the Hidden Leaf, a small yet shocking battle erupted in the Land of Fire. It involved the legendary Sennin, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, the fourth Hokage, one Kazekage, and one Mizukage. In the end, the third Hokage was severely injured, Orochimaru died tragically, and several high-ranking shinobi were deeply affected. Only a handful of people were fortunate enough to witness this unprecedented conflict, and because this battle miraculously took place on a single rooftop, it was later referred to as the Clash of the Hokages. I am a relic of the old era. No vessel can carry me into the new era, but since I still live, I will dedicate the rest of my life to Konoha. These were the words of the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, after regaining consciousness. There was no suspense about what followed. When the top-tier combatants joined the regular battlefield, Konoha's already advantageous position turned into a crushing victory. The Sound Ninjas were either captured or didn't even have the chance to surrender. The highest-ranking Sand Ninja, Baki, lost his will to fight after seeing his Kazekage reanimated inside the barrier and was finally captured by Shizui and Genma. The situation was settled. The next step was to clear out the remaining enemies on the battlefield and root out those who had infiltrated the village during the chaos. Gai grabbed Kakashi's shoulder with one hand, pointing at him with the other. Kakashi, I won this time, huh? Kakashi scratched his masked face, his eyes turning into his usual bored expression. Naruto wondered if the itch could be felt through two layers of masks. Gai, full of enthusiasm, declared, I defeated one more enemy than you, so I won. Oh, Kakashi casually kicked down a Sound Ninja who was struggling to stand and looked back at Gai. It's a tie now. No, Gai clutched his head in disbelief, as expected of my eternal rival, Kakashi. But there must still be enemies lurking in the village, and my youth will not lose to yours. Gai disappeared in a blur of motion, rushing out of the area. Anbu, stay and secure battlefield. Tsunade-senpai, please head to the hospital. Jiraiya-sama, Kushina, and I will each take a direction outside the village. Shadow guards, Kakashi, Asuma, and Naruto, help check if any enemies slipped into the village. I also request the help of the Hyuga clan. Understood. They responded in unison. Naruto raised his hand. Anyone need a lift? Afterwards, Naruto began his mission. When it comes to locating enemies, nothing beats the Nine-Tails' ability to sense malice. Hey, Kurama, I want to activate the golden mode. Do what you want, Kurama replied lazily. After the battle with Shukaku, he had little interest, though he did feel a twinge of anger upon seeing the reanimated Hashirama. Watching Naruto defeat him brought a rare smile to his face. Was it loneliness after the thrill? Naruto drew on Kurama's chakra with ease. The fox's chakra was no longer guarded against him. Golden, flame-like chakra enveloped Naruto, making him feel stronger. He sensed numerous hostile presences and activated his heightened perception. Naruto saw everything from a bird's eye view, distinguishing between hostile and friendly chakra signatures. Perfect, Naruto exclaimed. The technique to differentiate between allies and enemies was finally complete. Excited, he dashed towards the nearest hostile presence, only for the golden aura to dissipate unexpectedly. Naruto, kid, your stamina is pathetic, Kurama mocked disdainfully. Naruto was enraged. Who's pathetic? You are as pathetic as that author of Metamorphosis who destroyed the girl's life. Kurama thought Naruto was too weak to admit the truth. Kurama, I consider you a friend, but you insult me. Naruto felt wronged. If you cooperate with me just a bit more, things would be so much better. Kurama yawned lazily. If you don't want to be mocked, get stronger. Naruto reasoned with him. The situation is critical. We need to catch the infiltrators. What if they kill the owner of the barbecue shop to cover their tracks? You won't get to enjoy that delicious barbecue anima a broken bar enough. Let's do this. Kurama snapped awake, his fur bristling. Konoha could burn for all he cared, but food? That was sacred. What? Naruto rushed to the nearest hostile presence, finding it oddly familiar. Wasn't this the Konoha orphanage? Naruto looked at the sneaky intruder, prepared to attack with a flying thunder god and Rasengan combo. But someone beat him to it. Kabuto, dressed in civilian clothing, withdrew his chakra scalpel and adjusted his glasses. The orphanage has been affected. If it weren't from the guards patrolling, who knows how bad things could have gotten. Naruto glanced at the green dot on his map representing Kabuto and leapt forward. Kabuto, long time no see. Chapter 108. 108. Evidence your Naruto-kun. Looking at Naruto's shining golden appearance, Kabuto almost didn't recognize him. After all, they had only met briefly before. It's me. Naruto temporarily released his heightened state and pointed to the sound ninja on the ground. Because of the war, some enemies and spies have infiltrated the village, taking advantage of the chaos. I'm capturing these individuals. I see. Then I'll leave this one to you. Kabuto's demeanor was calm and agreeable. Naruto shook his head. It's not that simple. Reporting a spy for verification earns a reward of 500,000 ryo. 500,000? Kabuto's eyes briefly flashed with interest. Although the fourth Hokage had always supported the orphanage, funds were still tight. Kabuto's wish was for every child in the orphanage to live a happy life. Relying solely on the village's subsidies was not enough. If he could catch a few more spies. That's right. I suggest you hand them over to the garrison yourself. Thank you for the information, Naruto-kun. As Naruto walked away, Kabuto made up his mind. Looking at the captured ninja on the ground, he saw not just an enemy, but resources for food, gifts, and the smiling faces of the children in the orphanage. The sun reflected off Kabuto's glasses, casting a dazzling light. Yakushi Nono and Yakushi Kabuto, the current director and deputy director of the Konoha orphanage, were both skilled spies. However, unlike Danzo, Minato respected their personal wishes and supported them in running the orphanage, providing help whenever possible. Now that Kabuto knew there were rewards for capturing spies, this was intriguing. A top-tier spy engaged in counter-espionage work meant that those who sneaked into Konoha with evil intentions were doomed. On the battlefield outside the village, 3 giant serpents were being overpowered by 3 massive toads. Eventually, they were defeated and vanished in a puff of smoke. The Konoha ninja forces were brimming with morale. Uchiha Fugaku personally led the charge with the police force, and the invading sand ninjas were routed. Also with Minato, Kushina, and Jiraiya joining the battles on the eastern, western, and northern fronts, the outcome was no longer in doubt. What people didn't know was that there had been another skirmish to the south of Konoha. Earlier, Naruto had sent shadow clones in all 4 directions to maintain communication, but only 3 had reported attacks. Naruto assumed that Izumo and Kotetsu's gatekeeping prowess had deterred any assault. However, Orochimaru's original plan was to launch simultaneous attacks from all directions, stretching Konoha's defenses and creating an opportunity for him to assassinate his former teacher. An equal number of giant serpents were supposed to be summoned at each gate. However, the assault team at the south gate encountered an unexpected situation. The reason? Youth. Earlier that morning, a silver-haired boy led 3 green-clad students on what was supposed to be a routine exercise. Inadvertently, they wandered out of Konoha's patrol range while displaying their youthful energy. And that's when they stumbled upon a group of sand ninjas drawing a large summoning circle on the ground, intending to use Orochimaru's blood to summon giant serpents. The only strategist among the 4, Kimimaro, remembered Minato's instructions and immediately recognized these individuals as hostile forces intent on attacking Konoha. He decided to lead his 3 energetic teammates to disrupt their plan. But facing dozens of elite sand ninjas was a daunting task for just 4 people, so, 5th gate, Gate of Limit, open. For the skin of all 4 turned red, and their bodies were enveloped in a visible green chakra. Gen, Deki, and Jiro activated their Sharingan, using the superior dynamic vision combined with the enormous speed and strength boost from the 8 gates to perfectly execute Gai's strong fist taijutsu techniques and Uchiha's agile fighting style. Their movements, usually clumsy, became fluid and coordinated on the battlefield. They dodged enemy attacks with ease and seized every opportunity to land decisive blows, a stark contrast to their usual clumsy behavior. Gen, Deki, and Jiro created a brand new fighting style for the Uchiha clan, blending Gai's teachings with their unique approach. Kimimaro, on the other hand, had a different style. On the battlefield, he was fearless and aggressive. He relied on the abilities of the Shikatsu Myaku, strengthening the bones within his body. He didn't worry about breaking a few bones, he could always reattach or regrow them if needed. He was like a heavy tank, bulldozing through enemies. Anyone who couldn't outpace him was doomed. Gen, Deki, and Jiro were 4 years older than Lee, and Kimimaro was 2 years older. Physically, they were stronger than Lee and had been practicing the 8 gates technique much longer. So, unlike Lee, who couldn't sustain the 5th gate for long, their bodies could endure strain and complete a quick assault. Given a few more years of training, they might even unlock the 6th gate and use techniques like the Morning Peacock. Later, when reinforcements arrived, they were stunned by the carnage left behind. They could only wish the fallen sand ninjas a peaceful rest and hope that the next life wouldn't be so unforgiving. While Konoha's ninjas were working to wrap up the war, Shimura Danzo was busy. Danzo-sama, we have confirmed that the 3rd Hokage was severely injured by Orochimaru. Although Tsunade saved his life, Orochimaru was killed in the battle, and all his subordinates were captured, including Sei. Yamanaka-fu knelt respectfully on one knee after his report. When Danzo heard that the 3rd Hokage had been critically wounded, he relaxed his grip on his cane. But hearing about Sei's capture made him clench it again. After a moment of silence, he gestured for Yamanaka-fu to leave and murmured to himself, failed. Orochimaru's death was just the loss of a pawn. However, Sei's capture was more troubling. Although he had placed the binding tongue curse on Sei, the expertise of Minato and Kushina in sealing techniques meant they might be able to break it. He needed to eliminate this potential threat, but how? Perhaps he should use Root's poison or have Fu manipulate a guard. As he pondered, the door suddenly burst open. Mitokado Homura and Utatane Koharu stormed in. Danzo, you've gone too far, Homura shouted angrily. Koharu also looked enraged. Danzo remained unfazed and responded coolly, I don't know what you're talking about. Still playing dumb. Homura threw a file onto Danzo's desk. Look at this. Danzo was silent for a moment before opening the file. It contained evidence of his secret dealings with Orochimaru and the information he had leaked about Konoha's barrier and security forces. So, you know everything. Danzo looked up at his old friends with dark eyes. A bold idea formed in his mind. Chapter 109, 109. Betrayal. Danzo, what exactly are you trying to do? Homura Mitokado asked, holding his high-ranking position. Although he could be somewhat self-serving, he would never betray the village's intelligence. Everything I do is for Konoha. Even when cornered, Danzo didn't waver in his conviction. Koharu Utatane also couldn't accept Danzo's actions and retorted sarcastically, "For Konoha is colluding with rogue ninjas for Konoha too? Is selling the village's secrets part of that plan?" Danzo, holding a cane in one hand and keeping the other behind his back, made a few subtle gestures and said calmly, "It seems I'll have to give you a proper explanation today." "Of course, Homura started, but suddenly his eyes widened as he felt a kunai pierce his chest. In shock, he stammered, "Koharu, why?" Koharu didn't respond, her cold gaze fixed on him. "That's my explanation," Danzo said as he approached Homura, looking him in the eye. "You're too weak, just like Hiruzen. You allowed the fourth Hokage to make so many reckless decisions. Konoha will fall under your leadership. Only by making me Hokage can we truly uphold Lord Tobirama's legacy." How could you?" Homura hadn't expected Danzo's ambition to replace Minato and become Hokage and that he'd go so far as to kill him. Judging by Koharu's behavior, had she succumbed to a mind control jutsu? If so, then perhaps a broken bar during the Chunin exams. The village was invaded, 2 of its advisors were assassinated, and even the 3rd Hokage was gravely injured. All this was the result of the 4th Hokage's negligence. Danzo thought bitterly. "If I was Hokage, none of this would have happened." "You'll never succeed," Homura gasped, his eyes losing their light as he collapsed to the ground. His lips moved faintly, his voice barely audible. "Even in death, I didn't expect to trouble Konoha like this. I've truly failed the village." About 300 meters outside the Shimura residence, Naruto observed the 3 red dots marking Danzo's house on his mini-map and noticed 2 green dots that had just disappeared. He frowned in thought. Initially, he sensed something malicious and assumed enemies had arrived to capture people. But it seemed Danzo and his subordinates had just killed 2 people. Naruto looked at the gate of Danzo's home and briefly considered blasting it with a tailed beast bomb, but he knew that doing so would label him a rogue ninja. As for sneaking in to investigate, Naruto wasn't too confident in his stealth abilities. It'd be risky if Danzo had prepared for him. Better consult Dad first. After seeing the situation on various battlefields had been resolved, Minato returned to the office. He'd been busy for some time, but after hearing Naruto's report, his expression grew serious. "You're saying Danzo might have killed 2 of his comrades?" "Yeah, but I don't have concrete evidence," Naruto admitted before an idea struck him. "Wait, the 4 from Sei's group and the Sound 4 are still alive, right?" "We can interrogate them first. Ibiki already questioned Sei, but he's under Danzo's binding tongue curse seal." "It seems Danzo is involved, but we couldn't get much out of him," Minato replied thoughtfully. "As for the other 4, they're likely Orochimaru's loyalists and have refused to talk. They even insist that Orochimaru isn't dead." "The binding tongue curse seal is a jutsu Danzo uses to control his subordinates. It's placed on the tongue and paralyzes the entire body if they attempt to reveal any information about Danzo." Naruto had a bold idea. "Maybe Mom can try breaking the seal, or we could have someone from the Imanaka clan try probing his mind." Minato chuckled slightly. "That's not exactly what we meant by breaking into his mind, a broken bar, but no matter. I've already started looking into that, and we should have some results soon." Ignoring his humor, Naruto continued, "There's something else. I have a feeling Orochimaru isn't entirely dead." "Why's that?" Minato asked, puzzled. Both Jiraiya and Tsunade confirmed his body it wasn't a fake death. Naruto thought for a moment before responding, "It's just a gut feeling. But that guy has too much mastery of forbidden jutsu. Even if his body was destroyed or his soul sealed, I can't shake the feeling that he might come back through some other means." "Don't the Sound 4 and Anko still bear his curse marks?" "They could be a way for him to return." Minato nodded thoughtfully. "I've examined Anko's curse mark. It's essentially a combination of sealing techniques and natural energy. I've sealed it off to prevent it from drawing energy from her or the environment, so it's harmless for now. As for the Sound 4, we'll deal with their curse marks later. If Inuji can extract useful information about Orochimaru from their minds, I'll send a team to eliminate his remaining strongholds. As the father and son discussed further, the office door swung open abruptly, and Kushina stormed in, dragging someone behind her with chains. Minato blinked. Kushina, who's this? Clenching her fists, Kushina's red hair seemed to lift with her anger. I'm not sure, but I know for a fact Danzo sent him. I'm going to throttle that old man. Minato quickly intervened. Don't act impulsively. Tell me what happened first. Taking a deep breath, Kushina explained, I was trying to break the binding tongue seal on Sei when he was suddenly poisoned. That's when I sensed this guy sneaking around and caught him. After one punch, though, I started showing symptoms of poisoning myself. Minato's concern deepened. Poison? How are you now? Kushina raised her hand and smiled slightly. I'm fine now. Not even a scar. Tsunade got to me in time and cleared out the poison. Minato inspected her hand with concern, and only after confirming she was truly fine did he relax. Feeling slightly flustered, Kushina muttered, Naruto's watching. Naruto, seeing his parents' affection, felt a tinge of longing for Hinata. Should I take my leave? Chapter 110, 110. Accusations. Fortunately, Minato didn't forget his purpose and asked, how is Sei? Kushina replied sternly, he's been poisoned longer than I have, and Shizune is doing her best to save him. When it comes to this type of poisonous insect, I know someone. Minato and Shibi Abaram had been teammates for some time, and Minato knew quite a bit about the Abaram clan. Who? Kushina asked. Minato thought for a moment and said, Shibi's son, Shino, has special antibodies in his body, allowing him to raise nano-sized venomous insects instead of the usual parasitic ones. He once had a cousin who was taken away by Danzo and forced into root. Kushina, knowing the story of this unfortunate child, softened and asked, then what should we do? Remove the cursed tongue eradication seal, then have Shibi and Shino confirm his condition. Of course. We should get him to share any crucial information first. Naruto still had tasks to complete. Konoha was bustling from top to bottom, and his presence was needed everywhere. With Naruto being efficient, physically strong, and always dependable, there was no shortage of work for him. So, Naruto began his new business, Uzumaki errands, anywhere in the village, within seconds. After Shibi and Shino understood the situation, they brought Naruto along to lead the way. Shino and Torun had been cousins and close friends when they were younger. People en route undergo Danzo's self-erasure training. Route operatives have no names, no emotions, no past, and no future. Their only goal is to fulfill their mission, supporting Konoha's roots, which are deeply embedded in the village's will. It sounded similar to how Zabuza trained his followers, aiming to turn them into emotionless tools. However, suppressing emotions and memories isn't easy, as Zabuza had failed, and so would Danzo. In the end, after everyone's efforts, Togen's memories began to resurface, but it would take time for him to fully recover. Shino was the most excited. Ever since Togen was taken by Danzo, there had been no news. Shino had thought Togen had sacrificed himself on some mission. Shibi bowed deeply to Minato and Kushina, saying, thank you both for helping me see Torun again. I will do my best to guide him into becoming an excellent Konoha ninja. Naruto was startled when he heard that, as it reminded him of something Garp from One Piece often said, "Fahahaha, don't worry, Sengoku, I'll train him to be an excellent marine." Then, Garp's son defected, and both of his grandsons became infamous pirates who gave the Navy constant headaches. Of course, Minato had no idea about that story, so he waved his hand and said, no need to be so formal. Let's focus on the questions at hand. Torun stood up formally and replied, yes, Hokage-sama. I received information that Danzo killed 2 people today. Who were they? It was Koharu and Homura. What? Everyone present was in shock. These 2 were Konoha elders, former teammates of Danzo. Could he have done it? Killing comrades was a severe crime years ago. Mizuki had tried to kill his comrades but was stopped and imprisoned for it. Naruto didn't expect them to meet such a sudden end. Torun, unfazed by their shock, continued, They had evidence that Danzo-sama leaked village security information and collaborated with Orochimaru. Minato's expression grew darker as he listened. Collaborating with the enemy, leaking village secrets, killing his comrade Issa Broken Bar. How could Denzo do such a thing? Kushina clenched her fists. That old man. He is no good. The room fell silent. The situation was serious. With such turmoil at the top of Konoha, who knew what further damage might come? Shibi and Shino were clearly on Minato's side. They could tell who cared for their comrades and who sacrificed others under the pretense of righteousness. Just then, a knock broke the silence. Minato took a deep breath, calming himself. "Come in." Yamanaka Fu stepped in, gave a simple bow, and said, "Lord Fourth Hokage, Danzo-sama requests your presence." Shibi took a small step forward, subtly positioning himself between Fu and the others. Fu, oblivious to his former teammate's presence, paid no attention. Perhaps the members of the Abiram clan simply lacked presence. Minato suppressed his anger and asked, "What is this about?" Koharu-sama and Homura-sama were assassinated during a gathering with Danzo-sama. Though Danzo-sama fought hard and killed the assassin, both elders perished. Naruto was taken aback by the statement. "Fighting valiantly, huh? How convenient." "Lead the way," Minato said sharply. He had no desire to converse further with Danzo's subordinates. His priority was to uncover Danzo's intentions, apprehend the traitor, and deliver justice. Minato signaled for Torun and Shino to stay in the office while he left with the others. They followed Fu to Danzo's residence, where the bodies of Koharu and Homura lay in the courtyard. Danzo, leaning on his cane, wore a sorrowful expression. His clothes were torn, some stained with blood. Several sand ninja corpses were nearby, overturned flower pots were scattered around, and battle marks were evident on the ground and walls. That old schemer had certainly done a good job of staging a scene. Just as they entered, more people arrived. Clan heads like Yamanaka Inoichi, Nara Shikaku, and Akimoki Choza, as well as Sarutobi Biwako and Asuma. The Uchiha and Hyuga weren't invited, though Danzo knew that both clans were firmly aligned with Minato. The first to speak was Biwako. Having been comrades with Koharu and Homura, she asked, "Danzo, what happened?" Danzo, feigning sorrow, replied, "As you can see, we rarely meet these days, and we were attacked. Though I fought my hardest, I couldn't save Koharu and Homura." Biwako, sensing something was off, pressed, "How did the Sand Ninja know you were meeting today and come to assassinate you?" "Perhaps they were after me. I made many enemies in my youth, and I regret that they got caught in the crossfire." Biwako accepted this explanation. Most presents knew that Danzo, as the third Hokage's right-hand man, had indeed committed many unsavory acts that could invite retaliation. Danzo continued, "I also heard that Hiruzen was attacked and gravely injured. How is he?" Biwako responded, "He's in no immediate danger, but it will need time to recover." "That's good. I recall Hiruzen attended the Chunin exams earlier today." "The fourth Hokage should have been the two." "Tell me, Hokage-sama, why were there so many attacks today?" Danzo looked at Minato with veiled accusation. Everyone could sense something was amiss. Danzo appeared to be shifting the blame onto Minato. Chapter 111. 111. Death. Biwako had no patience for formalities, so she asked directly, "Danzo, what are you trying to say?" Danzo saw that Minato had remained silent, and his tone grew more aggressive. "The Hokage is supposed to protect his comrades, yet the third Hokage was gravely injured due to his negligence, and both advisors were assassinated. Shouldn't you be ashamed?" Minato looked Danzo in the eye and replied, "Yes, I should be ashamed as Hokage for not uncovering your treachery sooner." Danzo attempted to continue manipulating the situation. "Does the fourth Hokage want to blame me for failing to protect Homura and Koharu? If so, enough, Danzo!" Minato shouted, unable to contain his anger. "I already know about your collusion with Orochimaru, leaking the village's secrets, and murdering the two advisors." Minato then asked, "Why would you do such a thing? Are you trying to become a Hokage advisor or even Hokage yourself?" Or do you expect me to end my life in shame like White Fang did? Danzo wished Minato would indeed end his life, but he couldn't say that aloud, nor could he admit to his crimes. Instead, he deflected. Do you, as Hokage, only slander your comrades to avoid responsibility? Minato, having already anticipated Danzo's intentions, refused to continue the argument. Fugaku has already testified to your crimes. Will you still deny it? Danzo felt a chill run down his spine at the mention of the Uchiha leader's name. He tried to argue, that's just one person's testimony. Minato turned toward Yamanaka Inoichi and asked, Inoichi, what were the findings of your investigation of the 4 sound ninjas? Inoichi stood up and reported, we found memories of Orochimaru exchanging information with Danzo's subordinates. Danzo remained defiant. Oh? My subordinates acted on their own. I did not know of this. At that moment, an Anbu operative arrived to report, Lord Hokage, Sei has stabilized after emergency treatment. Minato gestured for the Anbu to step back and replied, once we interrogate Sei, we will know whether he acted alone or on your orders. What do you have to say now, Danzo? Danzo fell silent. The mounting evidence was undeniable. His plans were falling apart. Yes, I did it, Danzo admitted through clenched teeth. His hand tightened around his cane before he let it drop to the ground as though surrendering. But I did it all for Konoha. Winda do it. As soon as Danzo's voice fell, a puppet made of straw, wielding a sickle, dropped from the ceiling, attacking Naruto. Without thinking, Naruto launched a Rasengan at the puppet. Don't touch it. That's the mind-body puppet curse, Inoichi warned. But it was too late. Naruto's Rasengan struck the puppet, sending it flying. At the same time, Naruto's consciousness was suddenly trapped inside the puppet's body. The change in perspective made him think he had accidentally used the Flying Thunder God jutsu. Meanwhile, Yamanaka had taken control of Naruto's body and immediately moved toward Danzo. Danzo placed a kunai to Naruto's throat, but in the next moment, Fa suffered a backlash. The 9-tails seal inside Naruto had never been fully secured, and Fa was suddenly overwhelmed by Kurama's malicious chakra. Though his consciousness returned to his own body, Fa remained unconscious. Naruto's consciousness returned to his body, and Kurama mocked him. So weak, letting a pathetic jutsu like that get the better of you. Angered, Naruto activated his Kyuubi chakra mode. A chakra arm extended from his shoulder to block the kunai, while another condensed a Rasengan and slammed it into Danzo's chest. Danzo had thought Naruto was the weakest link and the person Minato would most care about, hoping to use him as leverage. Instead, Naruto's attack sent him flying, coughing up blood. Before Danzo could hit the ground, Kushina's fist was already in his face. How dare you take my son hostage? Her fiery red hair flared with fury as she pummeled Danzo, leaving him unrecognizably until he suddenly vanished. In stunned silence, Danzo reappeared outside the group, completely unscathed, and bolted for the village gates. That's Izanagi, Minato exclaimed. It allows him to rewrite reality at the cost of a Sharingan. Danzo had activated Izanagi just before Kushina's assault, giving him a brief window to escape. He was convinced that if he could flee, armed with Konoha's secrets, he could make a comeback. But things didn't go as planned. Before he could reach the gate, Minato was already upon him, pinning him to the ground. You harmed Konoha, you threatened my family. I won't let you escape. Seeing Danzo still resist, Minato extended his hand. Rasengan. Danzo screamed, you'll regret this, 4th Hokage. With his last strength, Danzo tore open his robes, and blood poured from his body, forming a black seal that expanded into a sphere. For Konoha's future, even in death, I won't allow someone so naive to continue as Hokage. Minato immediately released Danzo and shouted, everyone, retreat. Danzo had inscribed the 4 black seals onto himself, a forbidden jutsu that seals everything around him into the void upon his death. At Minato's command, everyone retreated to safety. Danzo's lifeless body collapsed to the ground. Within a sphere of tens of meters, everything was erased: land, air, and even the gates of his home. And thus, in the shadows of the shinobi world, Shimura Danzo's life came to an end. Amidst the destruction, Minato stood silent for a moment before giving orders. I will publicly announce Danzo's crimes, and we will give the advisors a proper burial. Shizune coordinated with Jiraiya-sama to assess Konoha's casualties and losses. Inoichi, assist the police force in calming the villagers. Yes. Both men responded in unison. Lady Biwako, please explain the situation to the guests in the shelters. Understood. Asuma, I'll need you to lead Team 10 to the daimyo's residence to report the incident. Leave it to me. After giving his orders, Minato watched as everyone dispersed, leaving Naruto and Kushina by his side. Naruto suddenly remembered something important. Oh, Mom, Dad, I forgot to tell you. I had Shukaku's Jinchuriki stay at our house for a bit. What? Chapter 112. 112. The Jinchuriki's burden -1. Naruto was punched by Kushina, and he solemnly explained the truth to her. The summary was essentially this: what is a Jinchuriki? It's like being a ticking time bomb. Even with numerous sealing techniques applied to them, it doesn't always work. I've never heard of a bomb being kept in a private home, even with various security measures. But halfway through, Kushina couldn't continue. Naruto, we're also Jinchuriki, and we're the strongest ones at that. To be safe, Kushina decided to return home and check the situation, leaving the cleanup to the Anbu. Naruto sighed, acknowledging that the Anbu were the ultimate utility team. Whether it was gathering intelligence, dealing with rogue shinobi, battlefield cleanup, or even providing communication, they handled everything with precision. Their level of practicality was impressive, almost like a well-oiled machine. Welcome back, Lord Fourth, Lady Kushina. Naruto, Haku greeted them formally. Dad, Mum. Karen jumped directly into Kushina's arms. She always found Gaara terrifying, and the security she felt from her parents could never fully erase that fear. Among Kushina's children, Kimimaro and Haku were the most formal and respectful, always addressing their parents with the utmost reverence. Karen, on the other hand, was the most emotionally attached, always affectionately addressing them. Naruto was the most casual, calling them whatever he liked, but occasionally got into trouble for going too far. For example, when Tsunade returned a few days ago and discussed recognizing Naruto as her younger brother, Naruto casually suggested to Minato, let's drop the formalities. I'll call you Granny, and you call me Bro. Naturally, Granny Tsunade promptly gave him a smack on the head for that. Oh yes, and then there's Sasuke, who always respectfully calls Minato uncle but grudgingly refers to Kushina as godmother. Given Jiraiya's and Kakashi's personalities, the family dynamic had become quite messy when it came to names. After the greetings, Minato asked, "How's everything at home?" Haku replied, "Nothing unusual." As soon as I noticed the village was being invaded, I activated the barrier at home, but Karen was really scared. Kushina patted Karen's head and then knocked on Naruto's. It's because some people like to bring dangerous guests home. Yes, Naruto admitted. When he didn't know where to take Gaara and the village was in chaos, he brought him home. It's fine now. The war is over, Kushina reassured Karen. Then, switching to a smug tone, she added, your mom's pretty strong, you know. Those grunts didn't stand a chance. 3 punches, no, Tana broken bar. You're amazing, Mom, Karen said, her fear melting away. Her admiration for Kushina was overflowing, and she quickly recovered from her anxiety, excitedly waving her fists and shouting, I'll be as strong as you someday. Gaara, now conscious, observed the happy familiar Minato smiling warmly and suddenly felt a pang in his head. Aha! Broken bar. Gaara clutched his head as a memory flashed. Someone once smiled at me like that. Who was it? Oh, Yashamaru. Where is Yashamaru now? Ah, I killed him. Gaara's expression became calm again, but deep inside, he was boiling. I want to destroy them. Gaara, right? Minato asked the boy with the word love engraved on his forehead, who was about Naruto's age. Gaara nodded slightly, expressionless. Suna has been defeated, and the Kazekage was killed by Orochimaru a few days ago. Minato calmly stated, summarizing the results of the war. He held no personal grudge against the boy, even though he was a Jinchuriki. In fact, Gaara hadn't harmed any Konoha citizens and had instead been dragged off and beaten by Naruto. In a way, the boy had suffered greatly. Gaara's expression remained unchanged. Neither Suna nor the Kazekage meant anything to him. Minato, frowning slightly, asked, "The fourth Kazekage was your father, right? Don't you care that he's dead?" Gaara responded coldly, "Father? If you mean the man who repeatedly sent assassins after me, then no, I don't care at all." "What? Assassins? What's going on?" Minato was astonished. How could a father send assassins to kill his own child? Gaara explained indifferently, "To make me the strongest weapon. My father had a technique performed before I was born to bind the spirit of the One-Tail to me, the spirit of an ancient monk from Suna. That made me a monster from birth." Minato pondered. "These an ancient monk's spirit." Gaara didn't seem to fully understand the concept of tailed beasts and Jinchuriki. Could it be that the Kazekage never told him the truth? Gaara continued, "As Suna's masterpiece, I've always been treated like a tool. But because my mind was unstable, I became a threat. Since I was 6, my father sent assassins after me. To them, I'm just a failed experiment that should be erased." That doesn't sound right, Minato thought. With the Kazekage's power, if he truly wanted to kill Gaara, it shouldn't have taken so much effort. There had to be another purpose behind his actions. Minato's thoughts raced. Then Gaara added, his voice taking on a crazed edge, "I exist to kill everyone but myself, to fight only for myself, to love only myself. I am sure that is Gaara." Minato had a clearer picture now. The Kazekage wasn't trying to kill Gaara, he was testing his potential to become the perfect Jinchuriki or sharpening his abilities. But this method was cruel, forcing a mentally unstable child to face death every day, hated and feared by everyone around him with no one to guide him after such treatment. It wasn't surprising that Gaara had lost his way. Naruto glanced at Haku and thought of Kimimaro. "Why do people like you always think about the meaning of existence? Does learning ninjutsu stunt philosophical thinking?" Haku noticed Naruto's gaze, tilting his head. "Something wrong?" "Nothing," Naruto replied, avoiding the deeper topic. Karen, listening to Gaara's story, clung to Kushina's clothes. "He's so terrifying, a broken Bano." Kushina corrected her. "He's so pitiful." Kushina thought, if I hadn't had Granny Mito to guide me, and if I hadn't met Minato, could I have turned out like that? And what about Naruto? He's also the son of a Hokage and a Jinchuriki. If Minato and I hadn't survived 12 years ago, would Naruto have grown up like Gaara, alone, feared, and isolated? Fortunately, none of it happened, and right now, Kushina felt truly blessed. Chapter 113, 113. The Jinchuriki's burden -2. You Shukaku are not a monster. Kushina gently explained to the poor child, giving him a lesson on the concept of tailed beasts and Jinchuriki. "What did you say?" "This kind of thing." Gaara covered the love symbol on his forehead with one hand. It was the first time someone had said this to him in so many years. Am I not a monster? Of course not. Some people may see us as containers for tailed beasts, but those who truly love us don't. We can still choose the life we want. Gaara looked up at Kushina. "That's right. Naruto and I also have tailed beasts sealed inside us." "Then why do you?" "A wise woman once told me, maybe it's our fate to be containers for tailed beasts, but before becoming one, we must fill that space with love. And I've already done that." Kushina gazed tenderly at Minato and their children. "I am truly happy now, and I don't feel any pain anymore." Love. Gaara recalled his conversations with Yashamaru. "Hey, Yashamaru, why do people get hungry?" "Well, it's so they can eat delicious food, right?" "That's right. The food you cook for me is the best." "Hey, Yashamaru, why don't I have a mother?" "Well, Gaara-sama, you have me, and I'll always be by your side." "Okay." Gaara's expression twisted with emotion. "But Yashamaru told me he lied to me. He said even my mother didn't love me, that there was no one at all. That's not true. Kushina placed her hand gently on Gaara's head and smiled softly. If you want, you can call me Mum. Huh? Gaara was stunned. The warmth on his head was different from the coldness of the sand. Tentatively, he whispered, Mum? Yes, Gaara. Kushina hugged him gently and said, you are not a demon. You're a child I love, Gaara. Naruto, sensing the need to lift the mood, chimed in. Yashamaru's last words were a lie. He had no choice but to follow the Kazekage orders. Really? Gaara, who had always felt abandoned, didn't question how Naruto knew these things. He just wanted to confirm that Yashamaru had lied to him. Yes, there's an old woman named Chio in Sunagakure. She knows the truth, though she may not be willing to share it. Chio-sama? I know her. I'll investigate carefully. If she doesn't cooperate, just let me know. Naruto leaned close to Gaara and whispered mischievously, we'll quietly capture her, bring her to Konoha, and have Uncle Inoichi use his mind-reading technique on her. Kushina gave Naruto a light knock on the head. Don't have such dangerous thoughts. And Inoichi's technique is called the mind-reading technique, not soul search. Minato, now accustomed to Naruto's antics, waved at Gaara. If you don't mind, may I check the seal on your body? Gaara lifted his shirt without hesitation. This isn't a standard sealing technique. It's more like a possession jutsu that allows Shukaku to take control of your body. Minato examined the original seal, then looked at the adjustments made by Naruto, and commented, this 4 symbols seal. Naruto did a good job on it. Naruto grinned. Of course. Sealing techniques are a family speciality. Minato, after ensuring Gaara's clothes were in order, added, with this, there shouldn't be any more problems. Gaara, you should be able to sleep peacefully now. Thank you. Gaara, unsure of how to feel, thanked Naruto despite their fierce battle not long ago. It's fine as long as you don't hold a grudge. If we're brothers, don't go trying to kill me. Oh, by the way, Naruto asked, how old are you? After calculating their ages, they realized they were the same age. However, Gaara's birthday was on January 19th, making him slightly older than Naruto. This solidified their bond as brothers in Naruto's eyes. Kushina offered another piece of advice. Gaara, you should try communicating with Shukaku. Maybe after some time, you could even become friends. Like the tailed beast sealed in me. Kurama got a bad temper, and he can be difficult, but deep down, he's loyal. Gaara was shocked. Could Shukaku be spoken to? Meanwhile, Kurama, sealed within Naruto, shouted, stupid woman. What nonsense are you spouting? Kushina smiled. Don't worry about those details. By the way, Kurama, maybe you could help convince Shukaku. Convince him? I'd rather beat him senseless, Kurama grumbled. Kurama, less interested in Naruto's family drama, asked, hey kid, why not give Shukaku a proper 8-trigrams seal, like mine? Naruto thought for a moment. Maybe because Shukaku doesn't need it. Not every tailed beast is as strong as you. Kurama reflexively agreed with Naruto's praise but grew irritated the more he thought about it. After all, it was this very strength that led to him being so tightly sealed in the first place. Later that day, when Kimimaro returned home, Kakashi also stopped by for a meal. Neither of them was surprised by the growing number of people in the house. They introduced themselves and took their seats. Naruto looked around and asked, are Granny Tsunade and the Puvi Sage coming? Minato, after a pause, replied, they're probably drinking at a bar somewhere right now. In a secluded forest clearing outside Konoha, a newly built grave and tombstone stood alone. The grave was constructed by Jiraiya, and the tombstone was engraved by him as well. Since Orochimaru was considered a rogue ninja, he wasn't eligible for a spot on Konoha's memorial stone. Jiraiya poured sake into a cup in front of the grave, then filled another for himself and Tsunade. Tsunade drank her sake and gazed at the tombstone. There will be no more Sannin from now on. Despite everything Orochimaru had done, she couldn't deny that their bond as friends was real. Jiraiya remained silent for a moment, then downed his drink. After all these years, I never expected things to end like this. Jiraiya was melancholic. He had chased Orochimaru for years, both physically and emotionally, but in the end, he couldn't save him. Instead, he had to end his friend's life. It was a bitter pill to swallow. They sat quietly, drinking in front of Orochimaru's grave, honoring their fallen comrade.